Welcome to the full Dad Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Bodcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Bodcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Bodcast with. Welcome to the full Dad Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Bodcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Podcast with.
This is the Full Dad Podcast. My name is Pete.
My name is Bryan.
And this week's guest is a good friend of mine. Amazing, probably one of the best, if not the best, Muay Thai coaches in the country, Joel Estevez.
What up? What up?
Welcome to the show, Joel.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Of course. I mean, you're a good friend of mine and an amazing person. I'm happy that you gave some of your time on a Sunday, because I know you have kids as well, to kind of join us. So I appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
But yeah, just I guess give our listeners, our non-existent listeners,
They're coming.
They're coming. A little introduction about yourself.
My name is Joel. I born and raised in Queens. I know Pete for maybe 8 years now.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
5, 6 years.
We met through Muay Thai. I trained this kid, and then we kind of clicked pretty good, and we've been cool since.
Yeah. And in case I didn't let everybody know, Joel's an amazing coach. So if you want your kids to learn how to fuck people up, give them a ring.
Legally, fuck all the kids.
So actually, one of the reasons why I really wanted to have Joel on is because part of the reasons why I wanted to create this podcast was to create a resource and a community of fathers that can share their experiences and give, I guess, on some level, advice to other fathers on the techniques they use, and also because Joel is a coach who, for a long time coached tons of kids throughout the years, and now he's a father himself, gives him the kind of like a unique perspective on, one, how to coach kids and teach kids, as well as the perspective of being not a parent, but now also being a parent, and see how that translates from like his sort of professional life into being a parent, and how like the skills he might have learned throughout the years, how he's implemented now as a father. So I think I know for me personally, you've been an amazing mentor and coach, not only to my son, but also for me throughout the years, which is ironic because you're younger than me, but you've attained these skills throughout the year to kind of help people on their journeys and guide them. And how is that translated to you as a father now? And like now that you have 2 beautiful kids, how is that kind of like, how you use those skills to translate now into a father? And also, what are some of the things you would tell parents to avoid, to not become that parent at the gym or the sport or whatever?
I guess to answer your question, like, I never see myself as a dad/coach to my kids, right? Like, I'm either one or the other. I'm either my kid's dad, which I always am, right? But I try not to be like, all right, now we're going to do baseball and we have to do like this and we're going to drill. Like, yeah, we can do that, right? But like, that's not my job. My job is is dad. Is everything okay? Let's play. Let's connect. Whereas kids in the gym, I'm not their dad. And I feel it's very important for kids to have that love with their parents, right? Like the kid, like the parent is supposed to be the kid's safe space. So like I used to hate when there was a parent at the gym, and there's always a parent at the gym. You're not doing good enough. Do more. Da-da. I hate that.
Yeah.
That should be my job, which I shouldn't talk to kids like that, right? We don't. But there should be a standard of like, when the kid comes to a sport, let the coach, and let the dad or mom be the person that be like, you're doing great. Support. Mm-hmm. You're the support. Like, there should be no coaching outside of the coaching realm.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Let the coach do their job. And I'm also a big believer in that, like, kids don't have to love every person of authority that's around them. Mm-hmm. For example, they don't have to love their teachers. Teachers should respect them, of course. And there should be like that boundary of like respect and discipline, right?
Right.
But I don't think that every teacher should be like, coddling. Like that's whatever. Coddling is okay, but not every teacher should be okay. You're gonna be fine, Timmy. You know what I'm saying? Like there should be some asshole teachers, and they should be like the kids should know how to navigate that world. Like I don't want my kids to grow up in a world where everything is like it's perfect for them. Like I always want them to be like resilient enough to be like, this is just one teacher. Nobody else is like this. They're just doing their job or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want my kids to be like always in a
like nurtured.
Yeah,
like nurtured.
Like they don't have to be comfortable all the time. Like uncomfortability is growth, right?
Yeah.
And that's my thoughts on that.
That's actually a very valid point. I think as parents we try to protect and insulate our kids, but you're right. I think that accepting that they have to experience discomfort and letting them experience that probably long term empowers them and helps them develop more than if they're constantly coddled, like you said. Yeah.
It's a growth tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a growth tool.
Yeah.
So
I would think you, with your kid, you definitely want your kid to be able to go through that, learn from that, and sort of be that person where when your kid does encounter a situation like that, is comfortable speaking to you, be like, you know what, I don't feel comfortable. I don't like this teacher. I'm not sure. I don't like the way she behaves or she picks on other students. I think having that conversation, that one-on-one conversation is also great for them.
And that's where the support comes in, right? Like if the parent at home is the same way, like you're not doing enough, or why would they come to you? You're just like the teacher, that they don't feel comfortable with, right?
So with regards to your kids, do you do any coaching at all? I know. I mean, you're probably a really popular Muay Thai coach. Do you coach them at all, or you just kind of separate them from that?
I separate them, but we do a lot of play. We do a lot, like everything that we do. For example, like so now I'm introducing my son to baseball. My son is 3 years old. I don't care how he catches the ball. Just catch the ball, get the ball, throw the ball. Like learn to play. And then the coach, when it's time to coach, the coach will do his job. But like even like when they play with cars, like they take cars and they, hands in the air and
there's no roads in the sky.
There's
What
no
are you
roads in the
doing?
sky, but they're playing and they're learning. And so like when it comes to things like that, like even as far as like Muay Thai, right? He'll come to the gym with me sometimes and he picks up gloves and mitts or whatever and he starts hitting or whatever. Like he just hits the bag or he's just playing. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Just like mimicking you.
Yeah, just play and learn, and that's how I feel about that. Like, that's how they'll learn to love anything, right? Is through play.
Yeah.
So,
that's one of the things that I feel like for a while I struggled with, because even with like Zach, it was always like he started doing something, and I was like, no, you're doing it wrong. Do it. Even like doing, washing dishes. It's like, why you put soap on the sponge and then wash the sponge? I was like, you're losing all the soap. What are you like? You go through those frustrations, and I'm like, I have to pull back and remember that. I'm like, he's just learning. He doesn't know how to do this, and it's happened to me in many situations, many times over the years, where I catch myself and I'm like, damn, I'm sort of like being a little bit like my dad, and sort of just like having these expectations on my kid for something that he doesn't know. I was like, I have to sort of put myself in that situation and be like, yo, if you're doing something for the first time, you're not gonna get it. You don't have that understanding. You don't have the fine motor skills to do this and to do that.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that growing up, is that how you were parented, or do you think that?
hell no.
Oh yeah, I think we come from a different time,
no.
different culture.
Different era, bro. Like, I used to get my ass beat, bro.
Yeah.
I think we all used to get our ass beat, bro, in the 90s and 80s.
You're speaking for us.
Yo,
Yeah.
man, like, well, one thing is that, like, my parents always worked. My parents never took us to, like, to baseball practice. Like, I was on my own.
Like latchkey kids, almost.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. My mom was never home when I got home. She was working. She had 2 jobs. She had lunch on the stove, so I'd serve myself and put it in the microwave, and you know. And no, like I never felt like there wasn't play with my parents, but there was play in the neighborhood. Like we played outside at that time. Like we didn't have PlayStation. We had Nintendo, but like
Yeah, freeze tag.
kick the can,
Kick the can.
cops and
can.
robbers,
Make a pea shooter from a quart of water. And
bro. Everything, bro. We used to go to the playground and play with other kids, and like it's different times. So like we played outside, whereas now kids they don't get that play. And I think it's more important now to be a parent, to be a more present parent than it was back then, because like I said before, we had more community, and so like you might have had like a little bit older kid who will teach you like, oh, this is how you catch, this is how you hit the ball, or like you play outside and you'll pick it up, you'll learn.
people really looked out for each other back then.
100%. Like I knew every person on my block,
Yeah.
like the whole 360 of the block. Today, bro, maybe
don't know
maybe I
anybody.
know my next door neighbor. I say good morning, maybe a couple houses down, but no kids play outside.
Yeah.
Different times.
Well, I do feel like it's like a pendulum effect because I think a lot of parents today were probably, I mean, a lot of us are on the same age, give or take, you know, but sort of in that same era where we grew up, where we were left to our own devices, where like you're on your own and you just kind of like do your thing. And like, you know, latchkey kid where your parents are working, you come home, you know, you have a snack to eat, and then you do your homework and then you're out the door. And you don't come home till it's dark.
Yeah.
And there's no cell phones. There's no, like, your parents had no idea where you were. You were
No.
out in the street. But I wonder if like, because of that experience, it almost like swings back now as parents. We're like, you know, we sort of like have now feel the need to sort of like insulate our kids even more, or just society is different. I think, I don't know if, because even now, if you see a kid, a 10-year-old on the street, I mean, maybe in the mornings you see kids walking to school, but if you see some kid in the street for hours and hours, just whatever, just fooling around, my inkling is that someone's going to call the police or be like, oh, these kids are outside. Where's their family? Where's their parents? And it's not as acceptable for kids to be out and about in that way anymore as it was when we were kids. Because, you know, we were out. I mean, yeah, I was a 10-year-old. Same thing. By the time I was 10, I was going to school on my own. I was
Same.
walking to school on my own.
Same.
And my dad wasn't home. And he would get home like 7, 8, but it'll be like nighttime. So I knew when it was dark out, it was time to come home.
Yeah.
And then that's when I would come home. And he had no idea what I had been doing for that like 4 or 5 hour window
Yeah.
between school and the time he got home.
I mean, I think society's changed because, like, I mean, I'm in Astoria, and like, there's a lot more homeless these days, right? There's a lot more drugs out there these days. There's a lot more like child predators these days, like, or that are more known than it was when we were kids, right? Like, when we were kids, it was always like, don't go to the guy with the van asking you for candy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do you want candy? Like, we don't.
Or you knew there was like some dude in the neighborhood, you're like, oh yeah, that dude's kind
That's
of
kinda
Don't
weird.
trust. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
them by name and everything.
But now, like, you know that they don't look the same, right? There's no like image for the guy that's a creep. There's no image for the guy that's like a child predator. There's no image for the guy who's like taking kids or a sex offender or whatever. Like,
That's a good point. I think it makes you more like you're on your toes and you're
Always
sort of
on our
like
toes,
hyper
bro.
aware of everyone around you. You're like that amazing guy from the corner, you know, from the bodega is probably the one that's doing all the harm to kids. You know, I'm just throwing it out there. But I think for myself, like I mean, I probably want to let Zach go around the corner. You know, I let him go down to take down the recycling. I was like, you're going to get on the elevator, right? You're going to press 1. You're going to let the doors close. You'll make sure you make it all the way up here. And I keep the door open. I think I'm super aware of that as opposed to when I was a kid. I was just like, yeah, I could go around the block. I could go down the avenue. I used to live in Greenpoint. I was like, yo, I'd go down. I have 3 siblings, so I would take them to school and get all of them and bring them back. And
Yeah.
my parents were like, yo, fine. You know, you do your thing. Now I'm like, I was like, when am I going to let Zachary go to school by himself? I don't know.
You know, like Hunter just started walking home from school. He's like, you know, can I walk home from school? And I'm like, and initially I was like, no. But he asked me, I'm like, no, I'm gonna go get you. And then he kept asking me, and I realized, okay, I'm gonna let him do it. And now he wants to walk to school by himself. And I let him do it one time, but in my mind I'm thinking like, well, I still want to walk him because that's still our time together.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose that part of it, or like our relationship. I mean, I know it's going to evolve. I'm at some point going to be forced to accept it, but for now, I'm like, no, fighting it. I want to keep them. But I wonder if that's a rebound effect of the things that we see as kids, and also with the prevalence of like more crime or I don't know if things are as accurate. I mean, I feel like there was still crime back then. There was still fucking pedos out there. But is it now because we have so much more access to information? Like Citizen app, people are always like, oh, it's so alarmist. People are like, oh, there's so much crime on the rise. But if you look at numbers, crime is sort of, in New York's been on the decline. A lot less crime than when we were kids. But everyone, like, the mentality is just, there's so much more crime. I'm like, is it because now we're fed so much more information? I mean, we didn't really know when crimes were happening when we were kids.
Yeah.
We knew that it did happen, but it didn't get reported on a constant basis. You didn't get an update on your phone from Citizen where they hear potential gunshots at some here, or kids are fighting here. It just sort of happened, but you were ignorant about it. So on some level, did it create this ignorance is bliss where you thought it didn't really exist, but it just always did? And now, because the numbers, when you look at the real statistics, it looks like it's better, but the sentiment is that it's not, that it's worse.
It doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's better for sure.
Yeah. It feels worse.
Feels worse.
And I think part of also the issues, I think for New Yorkers, especially in the recent years, it's like the issue with the migrant issues and like the influx of people from other countries has created like, kind of a big homeless problem, a big like crime problem, because people are struggling. They're trying to figure out what they're doing, and also you don't know who's coming also. The quality of the people.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I feel like
I think the Citizen app is a great example because that's the same thing people were telling me too. It was like, yo, did you hear about all this crime going on? I was like, I don't think it's an increase in crime. I think it's an increase of awareness. Now everything is being reported and you have easy access to that. And that's the thing. It's like, I think the most I would get out of where I would get my news as a kid is 10 p.m. if I was allowed to stay up. But after a while, I'm allowed to stay up to a little past that. 10 p.m. news is like, yo, have you seen your kids? Or do you know where your kids are? I forgot what the phrase was.
Do you know where your kids are?
Do you know where
10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah.
And if the news or the TV had to tell you to remind you about your kids, parents were like, oh shit,
What are my kids?
where is little Tim?
Open the window, you're like, yo.
They're like, yo, Juan, come in.
But now we're like so aware. I mean, there are dedicated channels on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube that are like just to like the crime, and anything that's like happening, reported immediately.
Well, even on the Citizens app, which I feel I downloaded it years ago, and I realized a trend now where it'll give you a notification and it'll say new sexual predator or someone on the sex offender list has moved into your neighborhood, but it'll sort of say, and this crime involved minors, but the person is sort of grayed out, and it won't give you much information, but they'll give you the information if you buy their subscription.
Yes,
And you're like, and I think, are they like, is it pandering? Is it like trying to garner attention and invoke an emotion in order for you to pay for their app?
Yeah.
And play on
it
your
is.
fears?
100%.
Yeah.
It's like I had this experience also with my girlfriend brought her daughter to Kuman, the Kuman, and I feel bad naming, but this is one particular, we might have to edit that out later on.
Shout out to our sponsor. No.
Yeah, yeah. They'll sue us later on. We ever get big, but she brought her to this place to get tested for tutoring, and I got to tell you, I'm pretty objective when it comes to kids. I'm fairly certain that her daughter has like an elevated IQ, like she's on some next level shit. Her memory is crazy. The things she comes up with as a young child is astounding, and she brought her there. And they told her, I mean, this was last year when she was in 4th grade, and they told her, oh no, she's reading at like a 1st grade level. And she told me, and she was like, she came home, she told me, and she was so upset. She's like, I have to go to tutoring. And I was like, oh, hold up. I'm like, are they talking about the same kid that I know? I'm like, because that kid is like running academic circles around Hunter. He's in a grade higher. I'm like, she reads all the time. She has this wealth of knowledge about things she reads about different role models she has, women role models, like, art, like she knows about political figures and has this really amazing memory. And I see her writing. There's no way that girl's reading on a 1st grade level. And I was like, and then she really thought about it. And like after the initial emotion, like that emotional reaction wore off, she realized, oh yeah, these people were probably bullshitting me to force me to pay for their program, which is $800, $900 for like whatever program. And I'm like, it's such a fucking manipulative ploy because you play on the emotions of your parents out of fear for their children and wanting the best for them, and then you kind of tell them, oh no, your kid is less than what they really are, to kind of like to make money. So I was like, really, it kind of like turned me off on that whole program. I'm like, what a piece of shit! Like that's like really grimy shit. And I wonder if it's the same tactic used and apps like all these apps online that mention crime and showcase. I mean, not showcase, but like I guess on some level inform you of like predators, whatever. If they're just garnering or the same like playing on your emotions and to get like, all right, gotcha. Now you pay for an ad because now you live in fear that someone's gonna kidnap your kid or attack your kid. Because I can't imagine that now there's so many more predators than there were when we were kids. I mean, I don't know how that works. I don't know what the mentality is and what creates those people. But is there something that like why all of a sudden now and this time in this day and age would there be more than then? Is there something like is there some deviancy, some chemical, some whatever that's causing that? I don't know. I was like, it doesn't seem likely to me that there's like a double or triple amount of pedos out there because I mean they existed when we were kids.
Right.
I mean, so I don't know. I feel like I kind of like wonder about that and wonder like how much of that is bullshit and how much of that is just people playing on the fears of families or parents in order to like play on their emotions to protect their children, to protect whatever.
That's a good point.
I think it's like if there's there I think some of these things start with a good intention to, like to increase awareness, but I think once there's some sort of like monetary incentive, there's a way for them to get money, they'll turn to that. And that's
Capitalize on
unfortunate,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, and I feel like that's why I've recently taken a lot of that with a grain of salt and think, is it for real or is it like even more of like the news? I mean, I see a lot of things that are actually happening, but how much of that is hyperbolic and just bullshit to kind of like to make you afraid and make you and create this divisiveness and say, oh, it's this person's fault, that person's fault, that crime is so bad, this is so bad, and just a way to like just point the finger at someone else and blame. I feel like as humans we tend to always. I mean, for me, there's times I do it as well. When I feel something goes wrong, I try to find a reason or something to like pinpoint. This is the reason why. But I realize now that life is more nuanced. There's like a bunch of things that happen, and it's not just one thing. It's a bunch of different things that accumulate to form this one outcome of the situation.
Right.
Like even before you and I, when we were in the car before we were recording the podcast, we were talking about a situation with Hunter and and how things have changed for him, and there's some things that I attribute to like contributed to it, but also I say, well, I don't think it's just that. It was an accumulation of things that have happened over the years, and also potentially my own behavior as well that culminated into this one decision that he made. It wasn't like this person's to blame, that person's to blame, whatever. It's all these things that all came together to kind of like, because that as humans, that's what sort of like drives us. It's not like we don't make a decision on one thing. I mean, maybe it's something really extreme, but most times the decisions we make are based on an accumulation of experiences or consequence or just different things that occurrences that make you formulate this whatever you're gonna like this thoughts or whatever is gonna drive that decision. Say, oh no, I no longer want to do this, or I'm gonna make this change or that change. It's not just one. It's not just like say, hey, that person caused me to do this.
Yeah.
So
There's so many factors involved in all these decisions.
But yeah, I think I do wonder because I think even for me, I wonder why. And it could be also the way we grew up. I do wonder. Like I know I have my own. Like I had a kind of a rougher childhood growing up, and I was exposed to a lot more things. And I wonder if that has switched the way I look at iParent, because I see other friends that I have, and their lives growing up are much different. They're more from affluent families who had less stress or less certain kind of, I don't want to say certain dynamics in their family that were different than ours per se. Like these these shared even culturally experiences that we encounter, and they're so like their thoughts like, oh yeah, they're so like, oh yeah, the kids will be fine, they're out doing whatever, and there's not a thought. And for me, my first thought is, what are all the potential things that can happen? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if? And I wonder, is that part of like, I don't want to use trauma, but just like these experiences you have that are kind of like fucked up, and then you realize later on those things still live in your head as possibilities, whereas to someone else, they don't even think about it because it never even occurred to them.
It's never crossed their path.
Yeah, and they only know what they know. They don't let they know it's the life that they've lived. So they don't even know these ugly, horrible things they're even possible because it never really occurred to them or never really happened to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think like the way you grew up and your experiences change or determine the way that you parent, right? Like I feel like, for example, like I remember as a kid, my dad telling me one time that my mom always yelled at us, not because we were bad, but because that's the way that she grew up. Like her parents always yelled at her, like, and it's all this generational stuff, like, and like that's why it's important for us as parents to like really take a step back and see the way that we even just talk to our kids is so important because like with kids, like what you say they are, that's what they are, right? Like if you tell a
Yeah.
kid like you're the best, you're brilliant, you can do anything, that kid is gonna say, man, I'm like you are the kid's inner voice. Whereas if you have another kid that's, you know, the parents like, you're stupid, you're gonna be just like your daddy, you're gonna be just like your uncle, you're gonna be a nobody. That kid is gonna be a nobody. That kid is gonna be just like his daddy. That kid's gonna be just like
Yeah.
you gotta be your kid's inner voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Until I feel like you do that, until they're like, old enough or wise enough to be like, you know what? Yeah, I am, I am a great person. I'm good. I can build up on my own like self-confidence. You have to sort of build up that confidence for them.
Absolutely.
I try to do that with, with my own kid all the time. I'm like, I was like, you know what? Yo, that was amazing. You should be proud of yourself. I try to do that to be like, yo, it's not just me that's proud of you,
Right.
but you should be proud of
Yes.
yourself. Like, this is something that you did. You deserve all the credit.
Yeah, and I don't think that should ever stop. I don't think that should ever stop.
Yes. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah.
I feel like I could have probably heard that a couple more times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, son.
I know. I think. I think that's the unfortunate part, or not unfortunate. It is what it is. But I think a lot of us probably experience a similar thing where the parents are dealing with their own shit.
Yeah.
And then and the kids sort of get lost in the mix. Do you sorry. Do you ever find yourself? I think I've known you a couple of years. I don't think I've ever really seen you lose your temper. But do you ever find yourself like? Have you ever lost temper with the kids? Do you ever find yourself like maybe mimicking behavior that you saw or you experienced as a kid, like when you're from your parents, or do you think have you been able to sort of like? I don't want to say like remedy it, but just like not go down that path.
100%, bro. 100%. Like I feel like as hard as we try to not yell or to be kind or to be respectful, like sometimes, bro, 2 a.m, kid comes to your bed, you know, try to get him back to sleep. Sometimes you just lose it, bro. And like, I feel like while it's not our default emotion to get there, right? It's not like our default, like, go to bed or whatever. Like, you got to give yourself grace, right? Because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, nobody could be like, okay, son, okay, Timmy. Like,
Yeah.
I'll sit with you for 3 hours at 3 a.m. so you can get your sleep. You know, like,
And then I have to leave, be somewhere at 6 a.m.
you know what I mean? Like, I think as a parent, like, of course you're gonna lose your shit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you can just, when you feel like that, kind of take a step back, and that's what I'm working on right now. Like, because sometimes, like, I do find myself maybe raising my voice a little bit more than I would like to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just kind of take a step back, or maybe go to another room and kind of think about what's happening. Like, my kids are young. My kids are 3 and 4. Like, they're young. Like, they're still learning. They're still pushing boundaries. They're pressing buttons on purpose, right? Like, seeing what they can get. And, like, I think if we all just took a step back and said, what's really happening here? Like, what are they really looking for? Are they really looking for the toy? Or are they looking for attention? Right?
Yeah.
Are they looking for connection? Which is really what most kids just want. They just want your attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I check myself sometimes and I realize when I do get upset, and I'm like, am I upset at him or am I upset from something else? And am I taking it out on him? Because it's very easy to take out your anger on someone like him, who for the most part will respect me. I do that to an adult that that adult's fighting me. I'm getting smacked or something. When I do lose, I totally lose my shit sometimes. The first thing I want to make sure I do is I apologize.
Same. Yeah.
Because that's something that I didn't I didn't get as a growing up as a kid, and it's happened I think more so now as an adult, or maybe like from a teenager and on. But I think if I had gotten that when I was young, when I was a kid growing up, I think maybe I would have been able to control sometimes my anger, the way I emotionally react to to the things that my own kid does. But I think that apologizing and be like, listen, I'm so sorry. I've had those connections. I've had those bonds where I'm crying in his arms, and I'm like, yo, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to do it like that, and I know it has an effect on him
For sure.
because he remembers a lot of things, and he'll bring up that, like, it could be in a public setting. He'll bring up, hey, remember that one time you slapped me? Yeah, I remember that. And I'm like, I would like cut the mic. What are you saying? And I don't think they'll forget it, but I think it's very important that you do apologize. You have that like talk with them, and you're able to sort of get through that emotional bump.
Yeah, I think none of us learn like emotional awareness
Yeah.
as kids, right? Like emotional like IQ, emotional IQ.
Yeah.
Right? Like
No. I think one of the things, especially, I mean, luckily we're all like Latin men here. I think culturally, even growing up, boys were not really allowed to show emotions.
Not
The only
supposed to cry.
emotion you're allowed to show is aggression, anger, and even then, you're not really supposed to. But it's acceptable.
It's acceptable.
You're a boy. It's all right. Like the boys are gonna fight. It's all right. But if you cried or you showed any kind of sadness or whatever, you were told something like don't be a little girl,
only girls cry.
only girls
Yeah.
cry, things like that. So almost like on some level, you're forced to kind of like the only emotion that's acceptable is anger,
Yeah.
and aggression, and not that in a way that they're gonna compliment or but it's like, okay, it's fine, it's like you're not insulted because of it,
Mm-hmm.
or you're not made to feel less than because you got angry or you showed aggression.
Yeah.
And most are like, don't fight in school. I don't, you get suspended. But they're not like breaking you down, like, oh, don't be don't be a girl, don't be, like you're not made to feel less than.
Yep.
I agree.
So I think that's a hard thing. I think, I feel like I feel fortunate that over the years I've made these connections with different men who like have shared experiences and have or are trying to have a very similar pattern or break that pattern with their children. Like you said, apologizing. No one apologized to me.
Mm-mm.
Like I got smacked around all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no one was like, yo, I fucked up. I mean, there have been times when I was like, I spanked Hunter, or I've like lost my temper, and I feel like one of the things even now that I tell him, I was like, as I say it, I can kind of like feel the emotion come, like building up. I told him, I was like, you're so amazing. You deserve a better dad than me. Like you deserve someone who's better than me.
Man, that's deep, bro.
And I told him, I was like, I'm trying to get to a point where I am that, but I'm not there yet.
I feel that, bro.
So
I feel that, bro.
Yeah.
but I think it's a lot of as I say it, I'm like, getting emotional because like ultimately I think every single parent wants the best for their children. Even the parents who I've seen who I feel like you mentioned the gym, because at some point there are times when I became that parent. That's sort of like, and I think when I was there, you helped me check it a little bit, because you get caught up in like the bullshit on like the competition at the gym.
Yeah.
But I know even with those parents, I know in their heart they want the best for their kid. They just don't know how to get them there. And I think that's the shitty part is like, you kind of you parent the way you were parented.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to break that cycle.
Yeah.
But even like, who really even knows? Like, even I feel like those child psychologists, parent professionals, whatever, even they don't have this shit figured out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like we're all figuring shit out because every kid is different, right? Like, no two kids have the same like emotions
Yep.
or same even environment, right? So like, you can't like, there is no textbook for like what a good parent is. Like, I think for me, like being a good parent is just being there, right? Being present, showing love, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
what more can you really ask for? Like, your kid is fed and taken care of and
Yeah.
safe. Like, really, what more can you ask for?
And talk to them,
Right.
You talk to them, you ask them how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of, and you don't, not necessarily vent, but I think it's super important to form that emotional connection. Once they become teenagers, I always feel like, kids become teenagers and they're like, I don't want to spend more time with you. But I do want my kid to always remember, my dad was awesome. And that would be sort of like ultimate goal. My dad loved me. He took care of me. He raised me right. And I aspire to be that when I become a dad, or if I become a dad, whatever the case may be. I feel like for me, that's sort of the ultimate goal. I want him to when he becomes a granddad, to be like, yo, let me tell you stories about my dad. Look how awesome he is. And I feel like I would, I'll be dead by that time, but but I think to sort of leave that legacy where just like, yo, I had an amazing dad. I had amazing parents. That's sort of, I feel like, ultimate goal for me.
Do you think that kids who have really good parents, right? Because like, even if you have great parents, you don't have you might not have like there's kids who have amazing parents and like they get on drugs or they get on they go down this wrong path.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there's any correlation between that? Like let's say maybe you have a really good childhood, but like you kind of go off the path a little bit, or like if you have a rougher childhood, you kind of go on a different a different path as well. Like, you think there's any kind of correlation there?
It's hard to say because I know people who've had, in my opinion, good parents, but have had other things that have kind of like fucked up in their life. I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think my fear is that I feel like I've seen people who have certain personality traits, and I don't know where those traits come from. It's like nature versus nurture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I equate it to, it's one of those things like fight or flight. Like someone, and like, I've seen there's some people who, if they get hit, they retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, they get hit and they fight back. And I feel like that isn't something that, I don't know if that can be taught or if that's just whether you have it or not. I don't know. And I don't have enough experience about children and how they develop to know, where that comes from. But I also, in my experience, I've seen people, like friends of mine who, like as teenagers, as for me, I experimented with drugs as a teenager. Did this, did that, a lot of shit. It never got its hooks in me. I never, like, once I tried, I was like, yeah, it's all right. Like, that felt good. That was cool, whatever. And nothing ever got its hooks. Even I used to smoke. Once I wanted to stop, I was like, yeah, it was never hard to step away from it. But I know other friends who, like around the same time, we all experimented with drugs together, and they went a different path where, like, it's somehow like the drug got its hooks in them, and they became very addicted, and they battled with it, that addiction for years. And I don't know if that's a personality thing, if it's a chemical makeup in your brain, where that comes from. I feel like I don't know. It's one of those things where, but also I know some kids who have had kind of like really shitty childhoods who seem okay, and then people who I think, but also you really don't know, what happens behind the scenes. But what seems to have good childhoods, and they end up like really assholes and just like and shitty people and never like really figure it out, and are able to just keep falling into success. They're like they're mediocre, but they keep falling to success because of their opportunities. So I don't know. It's one of those things where, is it grit? Is it you said? Is it discomfort that they experience? It could be a whole combination of things, even down to biological.
Yeah, I think about this all the time because we always think about leaving New York. Like, who the hell wants to stay here, right? Because like I want my kids to grow up in a place where they don't have to look over their shoulder, right? You can get on a train and not feel like you're gonna get robbed, or somebody's gonna, try to touch you or whatever. Like, but also like, I want my kids to be aware. Also, like, I want my kids to not be the kid that's like, oh, something's going on behind me. Oh, okay, that's I want my kids to be like, oh shit, something's going on behind me. Maybe I should get out of here, right? To be like environmentally aware, or like head on a swivel. I think it's good to be like that, but like also, do you want your kids to grow up like that? Like, how do you guys feel about that? Because you guys have kids that are going into like teens, right? Like Hunter is how old now? 11?
Yeah, he's 10, going to be 11 in December.
And your son is
Zach
how old?
is 9, going to 10 in December.
So you guys are gonna have teens soon. Like, they're gonna be taking the trains on their own soon. Like, how do you guys feel about that?
I am fearful. I feel like I don't know what the right decision is, because it's hard to know what direction New York's going to take. also it's like I think it's like a crapshoot. I feel like it's all about the choices they make and the friends they make, and people they associate with.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to take them away. Like, I mean, some of the things we're talking about is like, I have an issue with right now that I'm dealing with, whether, Hunter goes to school and stays in Queens or goes out to Long Island. And, me and my ex, has been a matter of contention. And she's pushing for Long Island. And while she has some very valid points, I also know growing up, I think my experience growing up wasn't the norm. I think I lived with my mother for a certain point, and then like there was some very severe child abuse. She ended up going to jail and went to go live with my dad. My dad, we lived really poor for many years. Like we were living in like literally factories for a couple years while he was building up his business, and then he made it to a certain point where we were living in Whitestone in Queens, which is a very affluent neighborhood. So this is when I started middle school. So all the friends I made from that point on were like like a good friend of mine. His father was the CEO of Duty Free. Like him and his college friends started Duty Free like in the airport.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I think when we were in college or around that age in our 20s, his dad sold his share for like 20 or something crazy, like 30 or 40 million dollars. He got bought out of the company.
Wow.
So these are like, and then I had another friend who's so it was like that's the kind of like the area where it became like this a jump in like in annual income and like in social economic status. And then but I still grew up in like the hood for younger years, so I saw I saw drugs, I saw junkies. We lived in Lower East Side a couple years. I saw like they got this. I saw like like dope fiends. And when we entered high school, and I was saying before how I experimented with drugs. There are drugs that I tried, and there are drugs that I never tried because I knew. And like some of my friends really got into heroin, and I had seen heroin before. I had seen dope fiends, and I'm like, I'm never fucking trying that shit. I never want to be a crackhead. I never want to be a dope fiend. I mean, I tried the lighter drugs, but like I had an experience. I knew like where that could end up, and I knew what the end game was on that. I could see in the sort of future. It's like, oh yeah, I know people who all these dope fiends. I'm not doing that shit. I'm not a fucking dope fiend. So it gave me, and I don't know, because I think back, did that experience prevent me? Because if I hadn't seen those dope fiends, would I have tried heroin, and then would my life have been different? I would have OD'd or become a junkie.
Yeah.
I'm like, who knows?
Yeah.
So I think one of the concerns for me is like, do you have your kid live in this homogenous environment where they don't really see the negative side of things, but then they're ignorant to it, so they don't really know where that could lead you. So it's this battle where it's like, how much knowledge or how much do you expose your kids to, and how does that impact them as adults, and also how does that impact their decisions that they make. So it's like it's one of those things where you never know. I think it's all a crapshoot. I think sometimes if you leave New York, there's probably more opportunities and more growth, but then do you deprive them of other things? I don't know. It's one of those things where you don't know what to do. It's one of those things where you have to make a decision and go on your gut and faith. And
But
then
there's something about New York though that like you really can't, especially in Queens. Like there's something about Queens that you just can't get anywhere else. Like the diversity. Like when I went to school with Dominicans, Mexicans, Ecuadorians, Colombians, Indians, Bengalis, blacks, Chinese, and like, I travel not that often, but often enough that like I go to Arizona, like it's either white, black, Mexican.
Yeah.
If you go to Florida, it's either black, white, Dominican, Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
or Cuban. You go to LA, it's either Mexican, black, white, Chinese, or Korean, some kind of Asian. Like we don't have like anywhere else. We don't have this melting pot that we do here. Like
That's the word I was gonna say. Yeah, melting
where
pot.
kids can like nobody in my family, my family's Dominican. None of my cousins or siblings is married to a Dominican person. Like we're all married outside of our culture,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't get that anywhere else.
I think that's a very unique thing to Queens, though. I think Queens, per like square mile, is one of the diverse places in the world.
In the world, that's right.
And I think that's actually like that's also one of the big things I'm like with Queens. I'm like, because you have a lot of the negative, but I think it's amazing because like even I look at my son's friends, some are Filipinos, some are like mixed. At first, I mean, Hunter is very mixed. He's like Chinese, Puerto Rican, German, Irish,
Right.
and I'm mixed too. I'm Chinese and Puerto Rican, and now he's even more mixed. But then before there was a rarity, but now I see some of his friends are biracial. They're black and white. They're Filipino and black. They're like Korean and black. There's like Indian and white. So you have all this hodgepodge of all these cultures mixing, and like all the kids are sort of like a blend of everything. And I think that's something that's like, I don't think that's one of the biggest trade-offs about leaving. I don't think that can be recreated.
You can't recreate that anywhere.
Yeah,
No.
that's true. Yeah, in Zach's school, there's a ton of biracial students, and specifically because he was his school had the first Japanese dual language program, so they needed a set number of at least Japanese students. So majority of them are either Japanese or like half Japanese black, Japanese white, Japanese with another Asian, Japanese and Chinese. I think it's super important to have kids grow up in an environment where you see that, and you see other different people, you experience different cultures. You take them out of that, or they're not raised in an environment like that. They don't get that experience. They're not like aware. And then I think for some point you don't sort of accept those other cultures, or you bring it in. It seems foreign to you. It seems like that's kind of like what is that like?
Yeah, it seems like
what are those
other.
people? Yeah, it's like other people.
Other.
Yeah, exactly. Other
seems
on,
like an
census,
other.
yeah.
on the checklist.
Yeah. But that's, I think, what it is. I think that's one of the things that Sitan that I loved were there were kids from there were like white kids. There were like, European kids. There were Greek kids. There were Middle Eastern kids.
Yeah.
And they're all just like trained together. I mean, they're like, it's a place where there's no like, you're exposed to these kids, and you're exposed to other families. So there's no other, you just see as like just another human being, where if you don't have that, you don't build that rapport, that connection, then these people just seem like other. And then it's easier. I think that is a hard part about life in general, and even adults. If you can't humanize someone, and they're an other, and then it's easier to think shitty things or do shitty things to an other.
Yeah.
And I think that probably comes from like some,
Fear mongering.
Yeah.
And the news. And
Yeah.
but even some primitive, like, like tribal, like evolutionary trait where like you had to like protect yourself. So you had your little tribe, and then other people were like, they're an other. So if, so it's easier to like kill or whatever, or do whatever to them because they're other. And I think that's something that like, as humans, as people, like a lot of times I see it in social media or other people, they always other people. Like when I hear people say they're animals or these people, whatever, I'm like, they're not. They're just not. They don't see the world the way you do. They're just
That's right.
different. And I think that's the hard part, is like when you start othering people.
Yeah. Othering.
Yeah,
Yeah. You put that label on them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the less than. I think that is one of the biggest points that I love, why I love Queens so much.
Yeah, for sure.
I've
but
never-
but
I've
not
never-
everywhere in Queens. I feel like
Yeah.
not everywhere in Queens. I feel like northern Queens
Yeah.
is more like mixed, whereas if you go to like
Whitestone,
Flushing or
you go to Malba, Whitestone. Oh, I know.
go to Far Rock,
Yeah, Far Rockaway. Oh yeah,
Go
there's
to-
certain pockets. Or
go to what's that one past Far Rock?
Howard Beach.
Howard Beach.
Howard
Yeah.
Beach. Yeah.
Oh,
we got that mix over there,
Yeah,
for
no. I mean, that is. I mean, I experienced that as well. I mean, shit, man. I think I was saying before how I went from living with my dad, and like we lived in the Lower East Side and moved to Whitestone. I'm like, yo, I heard Spick a fucking million times. I heard. I mean, I was like a little skateboarding kid. I remember like having beer bottles thrown out of a fucking IROC, blasting freestyle. Beer bottle like, fuck you, skater fags. You know what I mean? So like,
Oh my
getting
God.
beat up to like TKA Maria. That was the soundtrack to your ass whooping. So
Memories.
I'm like, so yeah, it's like, yeah, but that's true. But I think in time, little by little, that's sort of shifting now, because I was in Howard Beach yesterday and I saw like two black families, and I was like, well, and I made a joke to my friend. I was like, oh, there's black people in Howard Beach now. I was like, when did this happen? I was like, because traditionally,
I
it's
mean,
not.
if you know, you know.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. Howard Beach is
It's
not
very
mixed
insulated
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm totally gonna get canceled. for that.
Delete that.
Yeah, we have to edit that out.
Yeah,
Okay?
Skater fag.
Yeah.
It's like, "Deet."
Yeah. I
We'll,
mean,
we'll
like-
bleep the skater part.
yeah. But
See,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't really know much about. I've never lived in Queens. And I've gone through. I know some people that live there, but I don't. To me, it's always been it's been Greenpoint, it's been Bed-Stuy, and I lived in Bed-Stuy before it was sort of gentrified. It was just like you have majority black people. We got a good share of Latinos over there, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, especially the bodega owners.
Yeah.
Now it's like super diversified. Now it's like the place where you want to live, sort of like Williamsburg. But I think for me, it helped build like this sort of grittiness where, I've had fights before. I've been like not jumped, but I've been like sort of like surrounded by people, and I'm like, I'm ready to square up. I was never a fighter. My brother was, and my brother would fuck up anybody, and he's like, yo, nobody touch my brother, blah 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 blah. And I was just like, yo, I'm just trying to play handball. Like I don't want, But when you throw a bottle over the gate and stuff like that, and people are running and fighting, then my grandmother has to come to the park. I got hot mess stories.
I'm picturing them, brother coming down in her bata,
in the
holding
bata with the
chancla.
chancla, just like ready to have it come back.
Boomerang.
Yeah, boomerang that joint. But I think it definitely built some grittiness in me growing up, where I was definitely more aware of the streets, people around me. I think to some point I want to sort of build that in Zach, but there's like a super like delicate balance. Mm-hmm. It's like how do you want it to be tough and like ready to like fight somebody anytime, or to be like you don't just assume that everyone around you is out to get you.
Yeah.
And I think something that just occurs to me while you're saying that, when I think back, and I think back to the friends I had, I wonder, because I think when you grow up in a certain way, you need that grittiness, but not everybody makes it, and the majority don't. I mean, like I think we discussed this last time. Like, like you grow up a certain way, and then you see people sort of like fall. They fall from different things. They get locked up. They end up on drugs. They do this, and after a while, like, that circle becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and the people who you grew up with are no longer there, because I was like, so now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's get the fuck out of New York.
Yeah,
because the numbers are against you.
Yeah,
because luckily, all of us are really, I know Joel's, is an amazing dad. I know Zach's an amazing dad. Me, I gotta figure my shit out. But I feel like we're not the norm. As I'm thinking about it and I'm hearing you guys talk, I'm like, shit. I'm like, we're actually in the minority of people.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I was like, and that is a hard thing. I'm like, and do you want to play the numbers? And like, will our kids be like, be able to rise, or will they fall as well? And that's scary. But I guess, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like thinking about it in my head, and this is my inner dialogue. I'm like, in that conflict, I'm like, but is that going to happen anywhere they go? I'm like,
I mean, the thing is that there's so much opportunity in New York, right? Like, they can do any schooling here. Like, if you go to most other states, you can only go to the school in the district where you live.
Yeah.
And there's like one high school per town, or one, but like the whole town goes there. They all learn the general education stuff, and like over here, like, we're lucky enough that like you can pick whichever high school you want to go to. Like, if you live in, I went to school in Jamaica, like, and I lived in Corona growing up. Like, it was an hour and a half sometimes to get to school, or I could have gone to Newtown. I was like
a few minutes away.
A few minutes away. You know what I mean?
Newtown's rough.
Newtown was rough. Newtown was rough. I did not want to go to Newtown. Shit.
Yeah, and I think that's, I don't know, it's one of those things where the trade-off, I think you're right. Even high schools, if you have any interest, you can do anything.
Yeah.
If you want to be like, I mean, there's even like kids who want to, I know, ask Hunter, what do you want to do? I want to be a YouTuber. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I kind of roll my eyes. I'm like, YouTuber. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I'm like, all right, well, that involves film production,
media,
audio, media. There's an entire school of now high school dedicated to that has like kind of like an entrance into Kaufman Studios. Like they have like, there's like the new film or whatever studio, and it's an LIC, and they have a relationship with Kaufman Studios. And what's the other studio? There's two studios.
Sunflower.
There's like two studios now in LIC, Kaufman and maybe one more.
Sunflower is one that De Niro's opening up.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a newer one.
Oh,
yeah. But you have access, so now you want to do that. There's a school where, my girlfriend's sister's a teacher at Aviation High School. You want to learn how to to be a pilot or
like a mechanic
or fix airplanes.
Yeah.
There's that. So I feel like there's so much more opportunity where you're right. In like in those small towns, it's just like one education, one thing, and whatever it is, like you have to fit in that mold, or you're.
And then you have to leave to go to college or whatever.
Yeah.
We have it all here.
Yeah.
In New York, you can definitely make it to be sort of anything you want. I believe that from the heart, but you're definitely going to work for it. It definitely ain't going to come easy.
No, you have to grind. That's one thing
you
about. You
have to grind.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it is. I think sometimes I wonder, because I know people who have come from out of state, who live here now, who are very successful. I'm like, are those people the grinders of their area? I was like, and the same thing, and then I wonder, did the same thing happen to them, where like they started to excel, and then they sort of like whoever they grew up with, they sort of rose to the top, and they left wherever they were, and then they came to New York to become very successful in their respective fields. They become poor. Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. I feel like I know people who like got into finance, got into this, and like, who came from out of state, who are making fucking crazy money.
Bank.
Yeah.
Bank.
And then I wonder, I'm like, is that just like the cream of the crop that comes here? And as New Yorkers, we're just like, not everyone rises to the top. It's like in anything, like, you have people. I mean, there's people at all levels, who have different. And you need everybody.
Yeah.
There's so much competition in New York, so it's like you're fighting this battle. And it's like you really got to be better than everyone else. I feel like you have to fight hard, and like, you know what, you can make all this money, and you're like, yo, I'm good. I'm making, I don't know, $200K a year, but then my rent is $4,000.
Yeah.
It's like, shit,
And you're paying $10 for a pack of strawberries, a pound of strawberries.
Or you can move to out of state. You can move out of state and get a nice house for $100K, $200K, $300K mansion.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
mansion
And, like,
with a pool.
and you have quality of life. You get home 5 o'clock. You have the rest of the evening for your family, and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. Whereas over here, it's a hustle.
Yeah,
It's a hustle, bro.
And that hustle is exhausting.
Exhausting, bro.
And I think it also wears. I think I'm at the point now where I'm starting to realize that it wears on your soul. Like you're like,
Yeah,
like it wears on you, and
it breaks you down.
Yeah,
it really breaks you down.
which I think then starts seeping into the way you parent, and like you're like tired and you're frustrated, and you're trying to stay on this grind, and then it's hard to kind of to be the person you want to be, because there's so much more other shit that's weighing you down. New York is no joke. It's not for the weak.
No.
That is
Yeah.
true. Yeah. I wonder what the average lifespan of New York. I wonder if there's been a study, like the average lifespan of the typical New Yorker.
65.
Yeah, that's 65. Yeah,
You know
just
how
when you're about to retire.
Retire at
they're like,
65. You're dead at 67.
yeah.
Yo, you know how as fucked up as that may sound, I've heard so many stories from Evelyn tell me about that, where people retired. No joke. She told me a story where a guy retired from the DOE, and the very next day he died. And I was like,
That's crazy.
you had so much like you were looking for, and your body was like, nah, fam, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. Your body's like, oh, we don't do it anymore. All right, well, it's time to shut down.
We shut down. Yeah, there's no reboot. This is this is a permanent shutdown.
You got to call Apple tech support.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man,
Try power on and off.
Yeah,
I'm like, all right, bring your shit to the smart bar.
yeah, smart bar. Those little Apple geniuses.
That's what the doctor is for.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I wonder what the life expectancy like the New York like.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Lifespan.
We're gonna do a little research, and on that note, we're gonna take a short break over here, and we'll be back in just a few.
And now we're back.
Yeah. Shout out to our sponsor. Insert
No.
insert random company name here. During the break, we're talking about AI. So my question is, how long before AI takes care of our kids? Are we there yet? Because I'm ready.
What was that robot on the Jetsons?
Oh my God, the maid.
Yes.
What was the maid? Dang, so this came up the other day at work, and I had to Google it. I don't know, robot maid.
Either way, the Jetsons, that's a crazy reference right there, my guy.
That's true.
You're like putting a timestamp on yourself.
Yo,
Damn, right there.
remember Hanna-Barbera cartoons?
I'm like,
Those are the
damn.
best cartoons though.
Dude, amazing cartoons.
Not like Cocomelon.
Did you watch when you grew up? Did you watch G.I. Joe? Or was that before your time?
Not before my time.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now I'm putting a timestamp on myself.
Yeah, oh damn.
G.I. Joe, Transformers.
Remember that all the black and white shows? I'm like, Pete, don't do it.
I was a kid.
Yeah. The Andy Dick Show. Well, not even. That's
No,
a
the
newer
Dick Van Dyke Show.
Dick Van Dyke Show. Yeah.
Oh
Fucking
my
Carol Burnett,
Jesus.
That's before my time, bro.
Benny Hill. Oh yeah, that's all. That
Hill
show
theme
was
song?
like, anything came on late at night, and it was like I think an English show, but it always had like questionable. Always had like it was like borderline titillating material, like where like women's shit would get ripped off, and like and like just in time cover herself. And like and even that song,
Dude, that's another Tuesday for like Sábado Gigante.
Oh,
Sábado
Gigante
had all the shorties. I was like, yo, este viejo, yo.
Yo, I think that was a lot of times you tune into that when you start entering puberty. You're like, oh, I'm gonna watch. I was like, I don't know why, but I really like this show.
Yeah.
I was like, it makes me feel.
Why is my blanket a tent now? It's like,
Is he still alive, that guy?
he is still alive. He's retired from Sábado Gigante. But I mean, he's like
Legend.
He's like at least 150 years old. No, I mean, I think he's in. I think he's like. He has to be in his 80s, dude.
He gotta be in his 90s, bro. Ain't no
yeah,
way.
you know what? Yeah, right.
no
The
way.
funniest thing is finding out that he's like a German and not of his country.
Oh,
He's not of
really?
the country where he was raised. I think his parents brought him. They escaped. I don't know. Maybe
I think
maybe
he's
he's not
Argentinian
German.
or Chilean or some shit like that.
Chilean, yeah. Well, I think he was raised in Chile, but he's not. He's native. His parents are not from there.
Oh,
and I
shit.
remember reading it. And I was like, "What? He's not Spanish? Like he's not Hispanic at all?"
Well, I mean, what happened, after World War II, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That after World War II, a lot of Germans and some of the sussy dudes, escaped Europe, and they ended up going to Argentina. A lot of South American countries.
Yep.
There's even a town that I was just listening on, another podcast rabbit hole about a town I believe in Argentina that is almost like a mini Germany, and everyone's blonde hair, blue eyed, and there's a lot of people there. I think one of the people who were trying to track some of the these like Nazi people for war crimes, tracked them down. A lot of their people, those dudes, ended up in Argentina, and a lot of them created this like German, like this little German town in Argentina, where
Wow. That's
there was
interesting.
they even went so far that some of the really fucked up guys, if I'm remembering correctly, they opened a hospital there, and they're actually kind of doing experiments on people, and like the
Oh,
locals. And
Oh,
it was like
shit.
it was like fucked up shit, but yeah, a lot of and this person who was like tracking, like a journalist was tracking these Nazis who were wanted for war crimes, kind of tracked them down to these countries where they sort of lived out and just died there. But yeah, a lot of them, Germans, when they escaped, a lot of them were just like not really escaping; they were fucking dipping
Yeah.
from the Allies.
So if we get fried over here, yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
There was even a story how this young, a local indigenous person, I guess when they went there, they opened hospitals, and they said, oh, if you're sick, come to the hospital. And he went there because he was sick, and his parents, his family was poor, and they couldn't afford the medical bills, so sent him there, and they sort of just kidnapped him. Like they wouldn't let him leave. And then luckily he became friends with a woman who worked there, and he was young, and then they sort of fell in love, and she helped him escape, and they escaped,
Wow.
and then he wrote a book about it. It's fucking crazy shit. And they said they were like,
Damn.
there was like severe abuse and a lot of like psychological abuse and just like a lot of like experiments done on them. I was like,
That's crazy.
so who knows? I know now I'm talking shit on the host of the legend of
Yeah.
Sábado Gigante.
He's like, when you hear the knocking on the door 3 times, that's him. When you hear El Chacan, you remember El Chacan?
Yeah.
The dude
Yeah.
played the trumpet. Yeah.
I
love-
remember the women. I'm always like sitting there, be like, oh, I was like, I feel really good watching this.
Those girls are like super bad, bro.
Yo. All of them.
that was the biggest draw,
Yeah. Dude, it's a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to keep people hooked for 3 hours? I was
A
like,
bunch
3
of old men,
hours?
bunch of frecos.
Yeah, but yeah, mad frecos.
And that like if you want to go watch TV, you get a fucking buffet. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because that was late. And wasn't it like didn't it start like at 9? It was like 9 to 12? Something like that?
Yeah.
Damn, that late?
Dude, it was late. It was, yeah. Yeah, I don't think it started early.
And you think about it, it's on a Saturday when people are wanting to get lit,
Yo.
and people are staying home. I'm like, you gotta find the hook to get people into them.
Shit. Yeah, but even the novelas, like they're super like hypersexualized, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, super. You're like, yo, everyone's mad bellaco. I was like, why is everyone so horny? Like, what? And then the thing is that it would be like, it'd be another novella. It'd be like the same thing. It was like the same thing.
Always some shit. Always some drama. Someone cheating on someone else.
Yeah.
¿Por qué?
I know.
yeah. Dramatic music where they do those stares at each other.
That's crazy. When you were young, did your parents let you watch that shit, or they were like, they kind of like, when you said your parents worked a lot, right?
Yeah, my parents worked a lot, but they I remember my dad and his brothers coming over a lot, and then my parents when they so they weren't together, but they lived in the same house.
Mm-hmm.
And when my uncle sold the house that we lived in, they split, like they split apartments. So my mom and my dad went his own way, but they used to come every weekend, have their drinks, watch Sábado Gigante, whatever novela, whatever baseball game was on, and chill. And like a lot of times, like even then, like they would chill outside, like in the summertime, play dominoes and yeah,
Had
bro.
the 40, had the Coors Light.
Yeah.
Or the little mini Budweisers.
Oh my God.
What they used to love was those the little shots. You know, it's like the little like Jack Daniels or whatever the hell.
Oh, like
little,
the nips
Oh,
that you got
yeah.
you get at the liquor store for like
Yeah.
$1, $2.
Yeah, they used to love them shits.
Like the airplane size.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
airplane level joint.
That's funny. Yeah, and this is fucking getting lit on a Saturday. So what you were saying? So your parents were together, and then they lived together, but they weren't together.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's that New York shit. Yeah, rent is
Like,
expensive.
yeah, exactly. You're like,
Imagine
no, I'm
now,
not trying to
bro.
get another
Imagine-
place.
I think they might have been paying like $800 rent back then, right? Like for a 3-bedroom,
I wish.
bro.
Now I think I see I think I saw studios. You ever see those affordable housing, like advertisements, or whatever? I'll look and see how much it is. Yo, a studio is like $2,200. 2 bedrooms like $3,000. I'm like,
Affordable to who?
I know. I was like, who can afford that shit?
There's always a big gap. You look at the application, it's like 40%. It's like 30% of the medium, then 60% of it, and then 120. There's that jump, and for most people, they fit in that middle space where you're like, damn, I wish my apartment was $700, but then I need 8 people to live there with me. On the application. If not, you need to be making mad bread in order to fit in the studio apartment. That's like $2,200, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a 3-bedroom. We pay $27,
Oh yeah, that's a fucking
Dude, yeah.
steal.
and that's
Yeah.
but we got it during COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, during COVID.
During COVID,
Dude,
yeah, we got lucky with that one,
damn. that is
and with a
steal.
parking spot.
With a parking spot?
What? Yo,
Yo.
you're living large,
Yeah, bro.
Tag.
In Astoria.
In a store. Tag.
and you're not far. You're not far
No.
from like the. It's not like you're like in the sticks. You're right there.
Nah, I'm right by the bridge.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I gotta go to the Apple store, I take a city bike over the bridge. 15 minutes.
Nice.
I'm right there, bro.
Is it like the same parking spot, or is it like a lot?
No.
It's a dedicated, like you got a number.
It's a 3-family building.
Yeah.
I have the top floor. Another family has the second floor. The owner lives on the first floor.
Nice.
And then there's 2 parking spots in front and like 3 on the side. And I have other ones on the side.
Dude, I feel like that's like one of the biggest, like
flex.
if you have yes,
It's a flex.
one of the biggest flex if you have a dedicated like parking spot.
Yeah.
Son, because at that point you're stepping out, you go anywhere you want. You're not
Anytime,
worried.
bro.
You're like, yo, you got your compra, you park right there, you take it all out. You're not worried about parking around the block.
Yeah.
Dang, I'd kill for that.
That's a huge perk in living in New York. And living in the boroughs, like parking, and people just take it for granted. Yeah, parking
Bro.
is fucking no joke.
I will never move somewhere without parking again, bro.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, even if you got to park in the grass, he's like, here's a dedicated,
I don't
here's a
give a
dedicated
fuck.
patch. This is for you. I'm like,
I'll park. It's my spot, bro. I need this parking spot, bro. Especially with the kids.
yeah.
Imagine having to park 3 blocks away and then still walk home.
Yeah.
Nah, bro.
Yo.
Yeah.
Or like one
Leave
of
me
them
in front of
falls
the house.
asleep, you got to carry the kids.
Nah, bro.
I haven't done that in a while. Carry the kid.
Yeah, I think that's the first couple years, and then
I was
that
like,
goes
nah.
away.
He's Zachary's almost 100 pounds. Someday, I can't do that.
Yeah, I think Hunter's like what, 125 now.
Nah, son,
I'm like, no thanks.
you can't. You gotta do the firefighter thing.
I
throw him
can't
over
even.
your
Yeah,
shoulder?
I was like, maybe I could do the fireman carry. I don't know. I think the like you were saying before, the challenges in New York are rough. But I mean, if you have a spot, that's one of the things.
I might never have to leave.
Yeah, yeah.
Yo, for real. I know. You're like, I have this amazing house for you. No parking though. Nah, I can't take it.
Can't take
Yeah.
it, bro.
That's
Unless it
crazy.
has a yard, then maybe I can,
Yo, word.
you get a little
Damn,
bit.
that's true. Yeah, that's another like I feel like another flex. You got a backyard, especially during COVID, where like you were just like I need to go outside, or send your kid outside, let him play in the yard, whatever. Do 100 circles, 100 laps.
I remember like after when things started. Excuse me. Oh my God. During initial lockdowns, I think you were locked down like for real, and then we could start going out again. Hunter and I would just go on bike rides around Astoria. But even that, and then little by little, things would open up. I remember, like when the gym opened up, it was more like like you had to wear a mask. It was
6
like
feet apart.
6 feet apart.
Which
yeah,
they ended up saying it was like made up bullshit.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you guys heard about that?
Oh no, about the 6 feet apart.
It was just made up.
They're like, yeah, we're implementing this.
They just made that up, bro. Like there was no data to say that like
yeah. They're just guessing.
6 feet apart was enough to not
Yeah,
allow you to get COVID.
It was just a random number.
It was just like, oh yeah, just stay far away.
Yeah, it
How
was
far
good for
away?
the introverts. All the introverts like yes.
but that
I'm
was a rough
staying home.
time. I think
It was a rough
mean,
time.
I think rough time for financially, psychologically. That was like rough for everyone at that time.
I think during that time we all learned the value of like
Community.
real quality time, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Your family, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people stopped going to the office, right? So you got rid of the 2 hours a day you're commuting, right? Everybody works from home. You wake up, roll out of bed, brush your teeth to get to work.
Yeah.
I remember. I mean, even now, I'm still working remotely for my, some reasons, but yeah, I think everyone's pushing like, go back to the office, go back to the office.
Hell
But I remember
no.
thinking like, I don't want to go back to seeing my kid for like an hour, hour and a half after I pick him up from whatever after school program he's in, whatever daycare he's in. You go home, you're checking their homework, you're feeding them, and they're off to bed.
Yeah.
And during that time, I realized, I got to I think you and I spoke about this. I'm like, I got to get to know my son more. We're hanging out more. I'm actually a part of his life. He's a part of my life. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to just seeing him like in passing.
Yeah.
I was like, that is hard.
I think a lot of people took that and was like, yeah, you can never go back to the 9 to 5 after that. And I know from like even myself, I mean, I'm in the office 4 days a week and I work from home on Fridays, and I'm glad I have that. And I sort of like fought for that because I was just like, I can't do the 5 days anymore. I love the bond that I built with with my family, with Zach. And even though I think after a while, you have your frustrations, you have your ups and downs, you want to sort of get away from the people that are stuck with you in the house. Once he started going back to school, I was like, damn, I kind of missed it.
Kind of missed that guy, huh?
I was like, I missed it, yeah. I was like, I was essentially his other teacher, because he would be on Zoom for 30 minutes a day, and then it
Total?
was like all the rest total. It was
Wow.
like it was like this. Yeah, I was like, well, we couldn't. There's no PE. Especially with like downstairs, neighbors. But yeah, no, it was just like half an hour. Here's your homework, and the rest of the day, we're like, what do you do for the rest of the day? I was like, all right, listen, we got to go over this. But even that was like, just like frustrating after a while. And I was like, yo, I shout out to teachers because y'all do a lot with all these kids.
Would you guys ever homeschool?
I've thought about it. I feel like I don't know if the only thing I realize is I don't think I could be his teacher. I think if there was someone else to kind of step in and be a teacher, I think the dynamic is different. I think my patience is different. I think my expectations, and it goes back to I guess what you said earlier about being a parent and not a coach. And I think like I found myself like luckily I think during the pandemic when most kids were struggling, Hunter actually thrived, and I think because at that point he had been undiagnosed with ADHD, so in school it was really hard for him to that point. And then right before the lockdowns happened is when he was diagnosed with ADHD and Tourette's. And during the initial lockdowns, he wasn't medicated. So I'd see him in the house, like a fucking little pinball, like, running around back and forth, not being able to really sit down for more than, or he would do one thing for more than 5-10 minutes. And it'll be like one thing, and then he would jump to the next thing, and then I would see little pockets of messes everywhere in the house. Like he would start something and leave it out. Go to the next thing, go to the next thing. So there were like piles, like 15, 20 piles of shit all over the house. of shit that he just got into because and he couldn't focus on one thing. He couldn't even finish one thing. And that's when I started to realize, okay, and at that time, his mom was pushing medicine, like some kind of medication, and I was against it because of course there's a lot of stigma to it, there's a lot of whatever, and I was torn. I was like, I don't want I don't know what the long term impact was, so I was pushing. But when I realized, I was like, all right, let's give it a shot, and we started the medicine, and I saw that it had its benefits. I think the first medicine that he started with had the benefits. He was able to now focus in school, and his school instead of 30 minutes, he had 4 30-minute Zooms a day, and then the teacher would give a lesson, and then he would be able to work and then work on it. And then there were hours where there was certain teacher hours where she was available in a room where he could just join if you had any questions about the assignments. But I realized that he was able to do well, and he started participating more. And even his teachers, later on when I spoke with them, oh, Hunter's always struggled in school, and they were shocked. He's one of our best students. He's always participating. He's one of the high flyers. Wow. He understands the material, and I realized now that one was make sure the medicine he started taking, but two, that he was able to stop. And then that's luckily before the pandemic, luckily I bought that heavy bag. And then so he would and that's when he was really into he first started really getting into Muay Thai. So he would stop and he would fucking punch the bag, run around the house, and then I'd say, okay, Hunter, I would set a timer. At this point, you have this Zoom. He would run around, play a little bit, get out whatever energy he had, and he would go back. And then he was able to sit down and focus. And I would see him participating, talking back to the teacher, putting his thumb up, during the Zoom, we put your hand up, answer questions, and actively engaging and participating. And I was like, oh shit, I see the difference. And then
amazing.
As soon as he went back to school, that's when he started to struggle again. And I realized part of it, I think he didn't do as bad as he did initially. I think the medicine helped him focus more, but now he was still having to sit in this chair for 3, 4, 5 hours. You go in, you sit in a chair, you sit at the desk, and then you have lunch and recess, and you go back and you sit there. I'm like, who the fuck is sitting in this chair for hours at a time? And that's when I found it challenging for him. And I wish there was a different educational model where there's no physical activity now in schools. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And they don't really see it as something that's important. And even now, I think growing up, I remember even before entering school, before you go in the door, you had time to play in the schoolyard.
Morning, yep.
Yeah, and you played, and then there was some point where you would line up with your class, and then you would go in. And now, that was, now I understand. There's other reasons behind that, but now that time has been replaced by breakfast. So if you need breakfast, you can go into there. But the school those schools no longer have the schoolyard time.
Yeah,
it's you go in, you go into the lunchroom, you have breakfast, and then you go to class.
Zach had that. I remember when Zach first started at his elementary school. That was the first. They opened up the doors, I think, 15 or 20 minutes before class actually started, or at breakfast time. And yeah, I remember him playing outside, and the parents could be out there, and they can play the kids and talk to other parents. Yeah, that disappeared right after COVID, and he came back. Zach, he went back to school a year and a half after COVID, and I kept him out as long as possible. But then I'm like, okay, I need to go back to the office, and I need him to get back into school. But it was doors open at 8:00. You go in, they close at 8:05, and then you have to go in through the main entrance. After that, you're sort of marked late, But yeah, I think. They do PE, I don't know, maybe twice a week.
Yeah, at most.
And it's I was like, dude, I need you to run around the block multiple times to get out all that energy. But yeah, they don't really do it anymore. It's something that I try to do with him after school. But, you imagine I'm picking him up at 5:30. We're getting home at 6 o'clock.
I got to make dinner.
I got to make dinner. I got to do this. I'm like, I got to take you to the park. But then, you try to squeeze it in. You don't have the time.
No, the time. And then, of course, you're not going to put him to bed at 10 o'clock.
No,
at night,
I'm like, dude, you still got to do your homework. In his current after school program, they give him a half an hour, and it's a choice. Do your homework, and then you could do whatever you want after. Kids are not gonna be like, nah, I'm not doing homework. I'm playing. I'm playing with my friends. I got my Switch. I got this with me. We're running around. We're playing. So I'm like, that's even more. And I'm at that point, his brain is already just explotado. He's like, he's done. And so am I. So it leaves very, very, very little time for any physical activity.
And your kids just started. No, I think your daughter started school, right?
They both started school.
They're both in school now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 3K pre-K
Okay.
for free.
Okay. And
Yes,
and
important.
Yeah,
For free.
that's yeah. And in pre-K, is it like school? Is she like learning ABCs, learning?
Yeah, they do everything. Like they do little art projects. They read in class. Like they're starting to learn how to read. They do a lunchtime. They have outdoor time every day. Actually, at this school. Yeah, but and my son too. My son goes to school and they teach him his letters and they teach him the colors and like trucks and the people in the neighborhood and
Yeah.
it's been great, man. I've been loving it.
Nice.
Do they enjoy it?
Yeah.
Say again?
Do they enjoy it?
Oh, they love going to school.
Oh, yeah?
My son has a hard time getting dropped off, but once he's there, he's good.
Yeah.
He loves it.
Have they made like friends already? That
made
they're like,
friends,
hey,
yeah.
you know, they're excited to see.
Yeah, they love their friends.
Yeah, because I remember going back on the first day, and then Zach was like, I don't want to go back to school. I don't look forward to that. That within those like first 10 minutes, always friends. He's like, yo, I'm out.
Yeah.
He's like, see you,
Peace.
go to work.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what they need. They need friends there.
No, drop off. Hunter's always hated drop off.
Yeah, bro.
Cry.
Still to this day.
No. I'm saying like I'm saying for the pre-K, kindergarten, first grade.
I think I cried all the way through like 5th grade.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That it has.
Yeah, you were stressed like you paying taxes or something when you go to. You're like, I don't want.
I used to hate that shit.
But yeah, but I feel like back then parents like, yo, be quiet, just go.
Yeah.
No, you
There
have
was
a choice.
no.
Te meto una bofetada. Like,
Yeah,
yo,
yeah.
It was,
It was
That's a fact.
yeah. I remember like, but that's the thing. Also, I think like even spanking as kids, like that was acceptable. Like like you saw your friends getting fucked up in the street sometimes by their parents.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you're the one getting your ass whipped in the street.
and
know
if
what
you
I mean?
make any comment, then you next
Yeah,
to
yeah,
after that. You're
exactly.
like, yo, te reíste, what? Oh, watch. I saw that little smirk.
Or even that, like some parent will like you be getting like spanked, and you fucking even just move away. Then like the other person comes home, you're
Yeah,
like,
to
yo.
the back.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you know what he did? You know this little Simon Guesa did? He tried to hit me back or some shit, and they're like, then you get a fucking second beating. Una pela.
That's a
The
fact.
pre-beating before the main
Yeah,
meeting.
exactly. But yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like that's one of the things. I think when Hunter was younger, I spanked him a few times, and I just realized like I don't want to. I had to like learn like check myself and kind of like break out of that cycle. Like no, that's not the kind of parenting I want to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I went through a phase where I did it so consistently. It didn't take very long for me to figure out, oh, this isn't working. Because I do the spanking, and I'd feel horrible afterwards. But it's like, you lose your shit, you know? And I did it for so long, and I'm like, yo, this isn't working. I got to stop doing it. And I remember telling Evan, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna spank him anymore. And then I was able to sort of withhold myself from doing it. It was much easier to be like, all right, you got to talk to him. Something's going on. Like, why am I frustrated? Why is he frustrated? And I think that was sort of like the beginning of really sitting down and talking to him, seeing like what's bothering him, what's bothering me, and sort of building that relationship. Because they're little kids. I think a lot of parents don't talk to kids as if they're like little, like they have understanding. They may not have all the understanding, but I think it's very important to have like a real conversation with them, not that like goo goo gaga stuff. It's important to be like, listen, how do you feel? This is how I feel. This is why I'm hit you. Apologies. But now I feel like my relationship with Zach is so much stronger. And we still have our ups and downs and stuff, but I'm in a stage where we can both talk to each other. And the spanking is, I don't think I've spanked Zach and I don't even, maybe like playing around, spank him in his butt or whatever, but like a real, like, yo, I'm pissed off. I want you to shut up, or I want you to do this. I think it's been already a couple of years.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much more information at these days for parenting that like I feel like if you have to try to be a bad parent these days, right? Like I feel like you have to like really isolate yourself and not see any of these parenting posts. Like I feel like once you're a parent, you come across this shit on Instagram and you like it and you start getting the algorithm and like, oh, this is how you should talk to your kid and like I feel like if you're not even trying to be a better person, like, I think you did it on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there for
Too many.
that. Yeah.
Too many.
But I think it takes a level of introspection. I think because I've seen some parents who I know love their kids, but I see the same kind of cycle of parenting that I experienced, that I initially used, but I realized I didn't want to, like, it took a minute for me to realize that's not, and like for you as well, take a minute and think that's not what I want to do. And I think that is something that a lot of times people lack, because I feel like people sort of get stuck in like a certain time, or they like make this nostalgia of like,
This is how I was raised.
yeah,
So
and
this is the
how
right way.
exactly, and like, and this is what made me who I am. And I think there's something to be said about that. I think some of the things I like that I've discussed is, I think of like the certain standards or certain expectations that sometimes may seem a little high to some parents, but I realize this is standards I set because, and this was able to help me excel in a certain way because the standards were there. There's certain expectations, but there's other things that were like, that were might have been detrimental that I was able to luckily get past, but it's still on some level probably made me not so great as a parent, or made, like, or gave me some flaws as an adult. But I think it's hard to take an honest look at that, because then you have to look back and think back, because those times like, oh no, that was fucked up, that wasn't good. And also it takes a level of looking in the mirror. I think it's the hardest part for people to like look in the mirror and be like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, it's just because of this. And I hear these things like, what's this term that people always toss around? Oh, the snowflake generation, or this or that. And I'm like, it's not really. I think there's some things where things are not as gritty or hard or as maybe they were when we were kids. But I think kids now have this new challenge where things that I didn't have to deal with, like even with the advent of cell phones and
Social
like,
media.
and social media, and the influx of information, like constant bombardment of all this shit, even like cyberbullying. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if I spoke to you about this, but I think last year at Hunter's school, he ended up getting cyberbullied. And I was like, for Hunter, you know what I mean? I was like, the kid can fuck people up. And
That's a fact.
and I guess one of his friends, whatever, he had a beef with one of his friends who, like, and then like, actually no, he was trying to look out for one of his friends who was kind of a kid on the smaller side, and then like, another kid, a friend of his, a boy that was also friend of his friend that he was trying to protect, they were roughhousing, and Hunter of course was like, he's like trying to be the sheriff sometimes, and I always gotta tell him, she's like, oh, don't do that, you might hurt him, blah blah blah. So the other kid felt some kind of way, like, yo, he's my friend, why are you gonna tell me how I'm gonna interact with him? So they got into a conflict, which led to a conflict with the kid he was protecting. Well, then that kid turned around and gave a bunch of other kids Hunter's cell phone number, and then it got to the point where he didn't even tell me. I looked at his phone, and there was like, fuck you, you're an asshole, piece of shit, like fat piece of shit, blah blah blah, dissing me, dissing his mom, dissing whatever, and he didn't even say anything until like, I think the second day, by chance, his phone was charging on a dining room table, and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I heard like a little chime, like, who the fuck is texting? So I look at the phone, and I see all these fucking insults coming in, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I start reading the text messages, I'm like, what the fuck? And a lot of it's like, fuck you, kill yourself, blah, 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 all this fucking fucked up shit. Yeah. And it was from numbers that were not even in his contacts. It was just like, just the numbers came up. So then I start looking at the thread of text messages, and I saw, ones from his, people that were his friends or people that whatever. And then I started going to the deleted, I guess I didn't realize, but I guess in the iPhone, you can recover those deleted messages. There's a way, if you go into settings, you can recover deleted messages.
Oh shit!
So I started recovering them and looking at them and reading the whole thread, the conversations. And of course, he's saying shit back like "fuck you" as well. Like, he's like, coming back at them. But I'm like, what the fuck? So the next day, I asked him about it, and I mean, I feel like this is sad. I feel like I think I felt bad even. I feel bad even bringing it up because I feel like his privacy. But I feel like, at school there was an issue where they called me and they said, oh, I guess someone overheard Hunter's, say something like, oh, this is why I want to die, or some shit like that. And I was like, what? And it's something that, like, and even the thought of, like, as a 10-year-old, I didn't even know that was an option. You know what I mean?
Seriously.
It's something I didn't even know that was like, that's not even a thought that would enter my head. And I was like, what the fuck? And I started pushing more, and then I started unraveling the stuff that was going on that I wasn't aware of, that he was not even sharing with me. And I'm like, And I kept thinking. So then him and I sat down and we talked about it. And then I went to the school, and then he, the dean became involved. It became like a big thing. And then he wrote like this letter or this like I guess monologue or whatever it was, like this response to them, because they're going to bring all the kids that were involved into a room and let them and try to hash it out. And he said, he's like, well, you want them to apologize? Like, I don't want their apology. I just want them to like So he pretty much said like like he pretty much, I felt like it was kind of a mic drop. He kind of said some things that he even challenged some of the kids that were threatening him. He's like, he's like, I'm not going to fight you. He's like, but if you want to fight, come to the gym. And he's like, and I told him, then go to the gym and tell him that I'll pay for the drop-in class for the kid, and then they can fight in the ring. And at least there's someone there, they have gear on, and they can just, they can hash it out there. And I was like, and I'm pretty sure if I told Aziz or whatever, he'd be like, all right, fuck it, let him do it. I don't know if that would have been the case, maybe not. But like, if they come in, they sign the waiver, and then they say, okay, there's someone there to break it up. No parents are involved. I mean, maybe the parents might get involved after, but the coaches are there to split it up if it gets too intense. And then he was like, come to the gym, and you'll see that like I am tough, and like and that you're not. What do you say? He was like, you can't intimidate me. He's like, I've been to a bunch of fight camps that have fight people I don't even know. You're not gonna scare me. I know I could beat you up.
You'll square
But
up.
I like that. I like his confidence in that.
Yeah.
So but he even said, I don't want your apology. I was like, I don't accept your apology. He's like, I just and then what did he say? I feel like when he said it, I was like, probably he's like, you try to make me feel bad about myself, but you can't. He's like, you tried to, and then I felt when he said it, I was like, it was almost like he was taking him, like,
Taking control.
Yeah, he's like, you can't. And he said, I have people who love me. I have coaches who love me. I have some of the best coaches in the world. I have professional fighters who come and say and are friends with me and cheer for me, and like because I know he also loves Ethan. Like he loves Ethan also. Ethan's a fucking amazing guy.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
one of the fighters at the gym, and Ethan's always like, what's up, Hunter? You know what Ethan is. He's a really nice guy with everybody. And yeah, he was like, he's like, there's nothing. You guys are not even on my level.
That's fire.
That's a very
That's
yeah,
fire.
exactly.
That's
yeah.
fire.
Yeah, that is a huge
Man.
mic drop after
Yeah.
that. And I fuck you up.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. And if you want to see, I could really fuck you up.
Rock your shit over
Uh-huh.
here. That's
But,
a super mature thing for him to say.
He's always been more mature than other kids.
Yeah.
But
I'm like,
thank you
damn.
for saying that. I feel like like I'm always biased because like it's your kid, but I was like, it feels good.
He is, bro. He is. He always has been.
But yeah, I think luckily, I feel like one of the things I always feel grateful is that we found some time, and specifically we found you, because I think as a parent, you want, like, you love your kids. You love your kids with all your heart. You know,
Right.
like you have so much love that overflows. But when you find someone else that genuinely cares about your kid, it's like no one has to do that. You know what I mean? No one
Yeah.
has to really care about someone else's kid. You know what I mean? Everyone has to preoccupy with their own lives. And it was genuinely like I always appreciated it, and it always meant a lot to me how much you invested and how much of an impact you had on my son. And like
That's my guy.
that's something that I think I'm eternally grateful for.
Anytime, man. That's my guy.
Yeah.
That's my guy. And you're my guy too, bro.
Yeah.
But that's just my guy, bro. I love Hunter, bro.
But yeah, that's one of the things. I feel like that was one of the things I'm most grateful of out of like the experience of like with this journey with my son and like and raising him, and also like going to see Tan and that whole journey, that whole like martial arts, like the Muay Thai journey with him was like making those connections and like and having him, because even to this day he's like, yo, like you have like, I remember one time, and not to like bring up painful memories, but I think your dad had passed away, and then because Hunter was like, oh, where's Joel? And I think we had a private book, and you had told me what happened, so I told Hunter, and this is when he had first gotten a phone, and I think this is the
he
time
did text
when
me.
yeah, so he
he
and then you're like, Hunter is like, he texted you? He's like, yeah, he texted me, and I was like, so now Hunter, you texted? He's like, yeah, I texted Joel, and I was like,
I remember that.
uh-huh.
Yeah, that was special.
Yeah, and I think like he always like had a very special place. Even to this day, he's
my
like,
guy.
he's like, because he wants to can I see Joel. I didn't even tell him that I was seeing you today,
Oh,
because he's
man.
with Julie, and he was like, and I know he'd be pissed and he would get upset that I'm seeing you and he's
man.
not here.
Then you got to square up with him.
So
That's my
but,
guy, bro.
But for real, man, I think like as a parent, as like another man, thank you, and I feel like I'm
That
always
means a lot.
eternally grateful for them.
That means a lot, bro. Thank you.
Now enough on this emotional shit. Who can we talk shit on now?
And another thing.
Yo, who's Wild Punk at the gym? Yeah.
Oh man, the gym, the gym dynamics is interesting. I feel like now I think I was saying before, I got very spoiled. I think like the culture that you created and you and Aziz at Sitan is different. I feel like now Hunter's starting baseball and it's much different. I was like, I'm spoiled now. That the coaches don't have that much an emotional investment in the kid. It's just like another body.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I feel like, but I still see that same kind of and you know what? I'm not gonna talk shit on it because I was guilty of it as well. The same parents kind of getting on their kids, and I felt like I went down that path and I regret it and I feel guilty about it. Luckily, I was able to see it and recognize it. I mean, it might have been a little too late, but now I see
Bro,
we went to baseball practice.
It's not too late. He's 9.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I don't mean, but with regards to that, with his Muay Thai journey, I don't know if that contributed to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
his
saying.
ending or moving on from it, or just his as a kid following a new interest. But I see parents. I mean, at baseball, some guy's yelling at his son, "What are you doing?" He's it's the Dominican dude. Okay, I know the accent. Big Dominican. Guys, what you doing? What you doing over there? Wake the fuck up! And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, this happens everywhere. There's parents always doing this shit everywhere.
no matter what sport.
Even dance or gymnastics or for the girls, the parents bro. Parents are gonna parent, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just let your kids coach be the kids coach. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big believer in the parent should be like the training should be hard, whatever sport it is.
Right.
You want to get better, it gotta get tough. You don't get better doing easy shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The parents should be there. Man, I know that was tough, but you got through it, man. Good job. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
You should be proud of yourself. You crushed that. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll do it again.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Where the coach should be like, all right, 500 push-ups.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 1,000 sit-ups or whatever the hell, 50 laps, whatever. All right, champ, you got it.
Yeah.
Keep going. I know you're tired, but you can do it. Just support. You
Nice.
can't do, as a parent, you can't do better than that.
Yeah.
You cannot.
At the gym, are parents allowed to be in that same area, or is it are they involved? Because it sounds like parents are out there yo, get it, they're allowed in that area. I mean, I don't know how.
It depends. So imagine a Taekwondo studio, a martial arts studio. There's usually a waiting area for the parents.
Right.
And then you can see right into the mat space. So a lot of times you'll have the parents yelling from the waiting area, Johnny, get off your ass, or whatever.
Do a jump.
Yeah, but then we had it
It's not closed off. You're saying
it's not closed
it's
off.
open. Okay.
Most places aren't closed off. Some
Okay.
are. But the way we had it was that when the kids were fighting or preparing to fight, we allowed the parents to get closer because the ring was all the way in the back of the gym.
Okay.
So we let the parents go to the back and see and give their kid water and things like that.
Cheer them on and stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I think that's good and bad. I feel like on some level, I wish I wasn't allowed back there.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's a hard boundary. It's a hard boundary to create.
Yeah, because it's you get so emotionally involved, and I think you realize and now you're a parent, and I'm sure you realized even before that seeing your kid getting fucked up or hit is
not
hard
easy,
to
bro.
swallow.
It's not easy.
Yeah, and then it takes I remember initially when Hunter first said he went to tournaments, I was like, you do? I was like, well, I don't know. He asked me, and I'm like, I don't know if you're ready for that. I'm like, go talk to him. And I remember when it first started, I mean, I said, what about the tournaments? And you said, oh, well, we'll wait till see if he's into it, if he wants to do it. You can't force him. I was like, okay.
Can't force him.
Yeah. And then when he saw some of the other kids doing it, like Colin and Mason, he's like, oh, I want to try it. I was like, okay. I was like, oh, I don't know if you have the skills for that. I was like, in my mind thinking yo, this kid's going to get fucking smashed.
Yeah.
I was like, because I saw Colin and Mason, those
Who are
kids.
bigger kids.
Yeah, who are
older
like
kids.
Yeah, who are good kids who are fucking really skilled. And I'm like, that's those are the kids that he might be fighting. With that skill level, I'm like, no. I was like, that's that's like a toddler fighting
An adult.
yeah.
Yeah, but it goes back to the same how you were talking earlier, how he's just starting in baseball, right?
Yeah.
There's kids who've been doing it for a while, and there's kids who are just getting into it.
Yeah.
He's just getting into it. At that point, he was still pretty new.
Yeah. But I think he asked. I think we've been there for maybe a year or two, and then he asked, and he asked me, I'm going to do it. I was like, well, I don't know if you
I
can.
remember when he asked. I was excited when he asked.
Yeah.
I was very excited when he asked.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know. I still asked Aziz. I was like, I don't know. I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking
I was like, hell yeah.
I seen those kids. I was like, you don't have those skills.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like in fighting sports for kids, it's not that common, but I feel like there's something about a kid's personality that can make them great or not great, and it's not, and it has nothing to do with skill, right? It's like that will, like I got it. I'm a dog. I can go for it, right? Like you don't have to be the best guy, but if you have that, like I said, if you have the support system, like you can do it.
You got that self-confidence.
You know what I'm saying? Like that
could
shit
do
is
this.
dangerous, bro. Even for an adult, an adult, any fighter that believes in themselves is dangerous, bro.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
A beast.
Dangerous.
I remember, and it's interesting because I think like there's people you see in the gym and they're really good, look really good, and then I see them in fights and I'm like,
They crumble.
Yeah,
They crumble.
And then I remember seeing Felipe at the gym and I was like, oh, he looks okay, but I was like,
He's a dog.
yeah. And then I saw him. I was like, I saw him fighting. I was like, okay. And I thought he was like medium level skill. I was like, oh, I mean, compared to like who was in the gym, because I mean, it's not like I know that much. Just when the little bit that I'm seeing, and then I saw his fight, and I was like, yo, that motherfucker is a dog. I was like,
Dog, bro.
I was like, that was a crazy that like there was a secret. There's this guy Felipe, and he was fighting another guy. They got into an elbow exchange that was like a minute.
That was, yeah. That
I was like, yo,
fire.
the craziest shit I ever seen. Yo, elbow, back and forth, back and forth. Both of them are fucking leaking. And it's like elbow. I'm like, oh my God. And yo, the guy just like, and when he hits pads at the gym, he doesn't look like I mean, I look at like a fighter like Dylan. Dylan's a great fighter, but he hits pads, yo, he looks like a fucking, like a champion.
Yeah.
And then you see Felipe hitting pads, and he looks like just a regular guy off the street. Like he has some skill, but you wouldn't think he's like. And then you see him fight in the ring, and you're like, oh no, that's
No
that
fear.
Guy, yeah,
No fear.
That guy's fucking like he's
a
going
dog.
for it.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Do you think it's the competitive nature of like just the being in a tournament and like competing with someone else where it's like, let's get serious. That brings out that sort of like, that dog in them.
Well, do you think it's a natural like fight or flight response? Do you think it boils like whether you have that in you or not, or what do you think that? I mean, you've seen tons of fighters in your years.
I think like it depends also on like your upbringing. Like I feel like your environment has a lot to do with like how much of a dog you are. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a kid who, rich kid grows up in the suburb is not gonna have as much dog in him as a kid who grew up in the projects. You know what I mean? Like there's a different level of fear going into the ring, right? Like going into the ring is not like you're going to a bowling match or you're going to a basketball game. Like you can literally, you could die. People die in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like it's literally life or death. So you got to go in there with that like, I'm gonna eat or somebody's gonna eat me.
Yeah.
No Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's crazy.
and some people just have it. Some people have it.
Have
You can
seen
learn
that?
it. You can learn it.
Huh?
You can learn to like be tough,
Yeah.
but like natural instinct type, it's all environment.
Where do you think? I mean, just because you've been exposed to so many different kids throughout the years, do you see a correlation with their upbringing and like the level of fight in them, or like how, I can't say gritty, but how like willing they are to kind of like fight back when after getting hit, or you think it just varies? Is it something that like you've seen the kids from different walks of life?
It varies, yeah. I mean, there's kids. Not to say that the kids that come from like suburbs and rich kids that they can't fight, they fight and they do well. But also it comes down to like how much time you're putting in the gym. You know what I mean? Like if you're practicing in the gym or sparring, and every time you spar, you back up, that's just the person you're gonna be. Whereas even like let's say you start off backing up, but eventually you learn to kind of move forward in sparring. You can bring that dog out and say like I know that like I'm not supposed to like retreat all the time. Like, yeah, retreating is a strategy as well, right? But like when it comes to like fighting and biting down on your mouthpiece, you got to be able to do that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to practice that. It's not like you got to practice that.
Do you think there's a difference between? I mean, well, I'm trying to think, and not to like name names. Have you seen fighters who initially start like that, or end up both ways and then end up doing well, or how do you think they land in the when you start like comparing the end result?
I mean, there's plenty of kids who like look really, really good on pads, who look great, who have great technique, and they get in the ring and like when they realize that they're better than the other kid, they do really well. But then when they face somebody who's like a little bit better than them, they kind of crumble a little bit. So it really depends on the kid themselves. Like there's kids that like they'll go into the fight with the mentality that like it's not over till it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could be killing me the first round, second round, third round. I could still go for it. I could still win. I could still pull it out. You know what I mean? Like it just depends, man. Every kid is different. It really comes down to how tough they are. And kids are tough, man. Kids are tough.
It is. I feel like, and I think fighting is one of the few sports that it's not. I mean, it's a team sport to help you get there. But once you're there,
On your own.
you're on your own. I mean, even the coach, you might hear the coach, but when
Coach's not getting punched.
yeah, yeah,
Coach's not
exactly.
getting
But
punched.
even that,
It's up to
sometimes
you
not
at that
you
point.
hear this. He's like a little bit, but not really.
Yeah,
But you hear, but because like you're like in the fucking eye of the storm.
yeah. It's true.
It's like your time to survive.
Exactly. I feel like in a fight, as a fighter, like I know that I didn't hear everything, but like you'll catch punch him, punch,
Yeah.
kick, whatever. Like you, and then in the corner is your chance to really like, okay, what do I need to do? And like, as a coach, you got to be as clear and as concise as you can. Like, imagine you have 1 minute, you can't breathe, you're trying to catch your breath.
Yeah.
You can't focus on shit but your breath. I have to be able to give you direction enough to be like, this is what I got to do.
Yeah.
And it can't be like, you got to punch him here, get him here, do this when you get there. When this happens, do this. That.
Yeah. A whole list of directions.
No.
It's like, yo,
This is what's
precise.
happening. Cut that, do this now.
Yeah.
Simple. And repeat it. And there's some people who like, for example, like myself, I'd like to have been asked, what did I say? And I repeat to the coach, like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this. So now I'm going into the ring, going back inside a round, knowing like I can repeat it.
Yeah.
And even if I didn't process it then, I can process it during
During the moment.
You know what I'm saying?
When's the last time you fought competitively?
I think 2016.
Oh, okay. You don't do it anymore.
No.
Okay.
Those days are behind me.
All right. You don't have any chichones on your head, so I don't.
Nah, no cuts.
Yeah, no cuts,
Broken
that's it.
bones. You know, I got lucky.
Never in your time doing that. You've never
I mean,
or broken. Let's say broken bones. Cuts. I'd imagine would come off more easily. No.
There was one fight where the guy kept going for my so he was southpaw and I'm orthodox, and he kept going for my inside
Inside leg. Yeah.
yeah, and smashed my knee.
Ooh.
And I had to get ACL repair, not ACL, meniscus repair after that.
Ooh.
But I'm not sure if, like, my knee got beat up, but I'm not sure if that caused my meniscus to kind of like, you know, to.
Or just made the palm come forward a lot
It
more.
could have made it, yeah, it could have made it that, like, I felt it more
Yeah.
after that, but I don't know if it happened during that time.
Yeah.
I know. That's Brian's ice maker.
Yeah. That's it, exactly that.
I was trying to ignore it.
I know, yeah.
We take a break every time it goes off. It's like every 20 minutes.
But now you're coaching a lot of fighters. I mean,
I coach some fighters, yeah. Yeah.
Do you, and how, like, I'm sure, like, holding pads for the hours and hours on these people who are fucking,
Smashing it.
yeah, smashing them. I'm sure that has to work on your joints. Or, like, how do you feel now? How do you, like, recover from that? How do you maintain yourself?
I do PT. I do physical therapy. Yeah, I go to this guy on Steinway recovery mode. They take good care of me over there. I try to go once a month, but it's been a few months.
Okay.
But I go there, I get my massages, I get cupping, I get scraping, I get whatever I need.
They do those things where they like they put where you put you wrap your legs in like looks like a big puffer coat,
They
a
do that.
jacket. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
do that.
know what it's called.
It's the compression therapy.
Compression therapy. Yeah.
It's fire.
Yeah.
It's fire.
I've seen it. There's a place outside my job that I pass by every time, and I see people in there just like this, yo, chilling, and I'm like, dang,
feels-
yo,
it
how can
feels
I get
good.
one of those in the crib?
It feels good.
Are those, like, really beneficial?
Yeah.
They're legit?
They feel good.
They feel good?
You feel
Okay.
good?
Yeah, they feel good.
Increase
I mean,
blood flow. I'm imagining that's
Yeah.
what they're supposed to do.
It's like, imagine like you going like this to your hand, like you're squeezing.
yeah.
That's what it feels like. Like you feel the release and you feel like, that feels nice. Like,
Yeah. A little massage, just
It's exactly
okay.
what it is, yeah.
Well, I'm sure after a while, from all, like, I mean, your body's incurring this trauma from getting hit or holding pads, whatever, that your, like, inflammation starts building up. So I'm sure that's a way to kind of, like, squeeze and sort of, like, you know, help push out some of the, like, the extra fluid or blood or whatever that's there that's causing that inflammation. So maybe that's why it feels, which makes, so what you think about it makes sense.
Yeah.
Cupping is really good for that as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cupping you do mainly on your back, or
No, I do
does it-
cupping all over.
all over? Oh, okay.
I have my own cupping set that I'll like when my forearm set to get a little tight, I'll just cup like put 3 or 4 cups on my forearm,
Yeah.
maybe 1 or 2 on like my bicep, tricep, and
and you're good. Leave it there for a
Usually,
while.
yeah, usually pretty good.
And that's like when you light the inside of the cup, right, with like some kind of like fluid, or
You can, but there's now like they have these suction cups.
okay.
Like it has like a little suction gun on it,
Mm-hmm.
and you squeeze
Oh, okay,
the
okay.
gun,
okay.
takes the air out, and it just stays, and it's legit. It works.
Oh, I didn't know that. I always thought they were all like with the lighter, yeah. And then you get like the big like the black mark or whatever. Does it leave you with the mark?
You still get the mark,
Right.
You still get the mark, but that depends on like how much air you took out of that cup,
Yeah.
or like how tight you leave it, or how long you leave it.
Because you're creating like a vacuum in there.
Exactly
Yeah.
what you're doing. Yeah,
Got it.
so it's helpful.
Yeah. I've never tried the cupping before.
Cup is fire.
Yeah.
It's good. It helps.
Nice. Okay.
How do you feel now that you have kids and you're running around and they're mobile?
Tired,
Are you
bro.
you're trying to keep up?
No, I can keep up.
Yeah.
I keep up. I try to I play with them a lot. Like usually when they get home from school, they'll ask like if I'm home, they'll ask, can we go around the block with the scooter? And they'll go around the block on the scooter, and I'll run after them.
Yeah.
We'll do like a lap or two, and then we'll come back home, and they're just chill.
They're good.
They're good.
Are you still doing any training to keep yourself, or you just the training that you're?
I try to go once or twice a week.
Yeah.
I do like Orange Theory,
Okay.
which is
Oh, that's by my job too.
which
I've
has
seen
been
it.
fun.
There's a couple. Yeah.
Orange Theory, yeah.
It's been fun.
I feel like that was getting popular at the gym for a minute. Everyone's talking about Orange Theory.
Yeah, so I've been doing that, and you know what's funny? I was doing it to like lose weight, and I lost like 10 pounds from like January to June, and 10 pounds is a lot, but not a lot for the amount that I was working out.
Okay.
And I was like, damn, what the hell's going on? Like, what can I do? So we went on vacation, and we came back, and like we kind of got out of the rhythm, and I had a physical, and my blood work came back. I had high cholesterol, high blood sugar, a bunch of shit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, like the doctor was like, you got to change the way you're eating. And I'm vegetarian, and the doctor's like, stop eating carbs or stop eating dairy. And I'm like, bro, like that's all I eat.
What are you left with?
What,
after that?
exactly.
Yeah,
What I fucking eat shit. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Eat
and
this
so
leaf.
after he didn't give me advice, like detailed advice, like what am I gonna do? I was like, let me get a dietitian. And I've been working with a dietitian since late July, like August, actually, early August. In the past 2 months, I've lost about 17 pounds.
Oh wow. Okay.
Damn.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
So
And-
what have you been eating?
nothing, bro.
Nothing.
Nah,
I
fuck
was like,
it.
yeah, you're like, yo, I
You're
drink
like, I have a
water.
hot bowl of air.
Yeah, a lot of egg whites. So it's pretty much like a low carb, high fat, high
How, like-
protein,
Like a keto kind of deal.
like a modified keto. Yeah, like because keto you're only allowed like what 20 to 60 grams of carbs per day.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing like 60. Like what am I doing? I'm doing like 40 to 60 per meal.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So it's still low carb, but not like I'm not eating rice. I'm not eating sweet potato like I was every day. I'm
Yeah.
not eating starchy.
all the
Yeah,
carbs,
I
yeah,
mean,
starchy.
starchy bread, but like
Yeah.
very, very little, very little. Game changer, bro. So then that's what I've been doing, and it makes it easier to follow the kids around, and
Yeah.
you know,
You have that energy.
you have energy, bro.
That's good.
Well, yeah, you gotta flex on them. We
Try
don't
to-
got the cameras. We can't.
Try to-
we can't have
try to follow
nobody
the
flex.
kids, bro. I was trying to keep up because I got scared once he started telling me like, you know, you have high cholesterol. We're gonna have to put you on medicine and high A1C, which is like diabetes. And
Yeah,
you're gonna be
yeah.
diabetic or what? I'm like, bro, I can't do that.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
You feel like I feel like it's almost like you like the irony with someone that works out, someone that's a coach to get something like that. I'm like, dude, you know, you're representative of like you're like the model, you know,
Yeah.
ideal person, and it's like, oh, but now you have diabetes.
Yeah,
And I
but,
know there's
mean,
genetics involved in that. But
Yeah, but also like the way I was eating before wasn't bad. Like if you compare my diet to like an average, like, I don't eat burgers, I don't eat steak, I don't eat like fried fish, and
yeah.
but I was eating a lot of rice, bro. A lot of bread, a lot of cheese.
Yeah.
She was fucking me up.
All right. And on that note, we're going to take a quick pause. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors. Hold on.
And we're back. So something actually I wanted to ask Joel about, or ask you about. I know that we're discussing like physical health and like you work, you know, and things. What are some of the things that, I mean, if any, do you do for like mental health? Are you like how do you feel like you keep your sanity? I think before, you know, on the way here we were talking, you know, we have like friends that, you know, throughout the years have for different reasons passed away. Some from depression. Who knows, you know, the outcomes. But I do wonder how, or not wonder, I feel like men's mental health is something that's not really a priority for men in general.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're kind of just like taught to kind of just deal with it, suck it up, don't be a girl, blah blah. You know, man up, don't be a little bitch. But on some level, I think the internalizing of all whatever you're going through, sometimes it's a heavy weight to carry.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, I mentioned the dad that I knew that committed suicide, and it's something that is unspoken. I think it happens a lot, and I think statistically, if you look at I'm just purely numbers, men are like double, like the amount of suicides among men is almost double what it is for women, and people don't really talk about that. And I think there's so many resources for women and moms in general on social media, and chat groups and Facebook groups or whatever it is, there, and even amongst in real life physical groups as well, not just like online. But there's not many resources for men, and so how do you? I know, I mean, your profession revolves around a lot of physical ability and physical health. How do you handle mental health or something?
I mean, I did try therapy. I'm not against it. It just, I didn't like the therapist that I had, and I tried different therapists to try to get to the right one for me. I just never got to find the right one. I feel like by the time, I guess it did work, because by the time I was like, fuck this guy, I was like, I don't want to deal with therapists no more. I guess I was better, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think therapy is important for anybody, right? And not necessarily only when things are bad, right? Like, you should have a therapist even when things are going great. Like you have that baseline.
Right.
Because very often, you only hear about going to a therapist when things are like, oh man, I'm not feeling happy, or something's wrong, or my wife left me, or whatever. But right now, I don't see a therapist at the moment. But I just kind of do my own thing. I try not to let things linger. I try not to hold on to things, and my wife always tells me, you got to talk about it. And I'm like, for me, just being left alone for a little while, kind of let me sit in my thoughts. I get over it. Where all right, I'm good. I'm not hanging on to nothing no more. It works for me. But therapy works. I would say it works.
And I think you had mentioned earlier that you kind of went out with some some other fathers and had talks. I'm sure that community also. I think it's something that probably. I mean, was that the first time you guys did that? Or you guys?
Yeah, it was the first time. It's a group of dads from my kid's school.
Okay.
And we started a group chat, and they're like, okay, let's if you guys are down, let's go hang out. We just said, okay, let's go hang out, and we
Nice.
went to a hookah bar and we just chilled.
Yeah.
And we just talked shit. And what's funny? We are more common. We have a lot more in common than we think. With parenthood, with being fathers and husbands, and living in New York. We have so much in common. It's just interesting to hear other people's story. And you're like, wow, I'm going through the same shit. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm glad to be on this podcast, because we're all fathers, and I'm sure I'm going to go through the same. My kids are so small. I'm sure I'm going to go through the same things that you guys are going through right now, right? It's just not my turn yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it also feels good to know that you're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's the hardest part sometimes of being a man in general, is that you feel alone most of the time, because for whatever reason you don't feel comfortable, or you don't feel you have the right to even complain, or you just gotta you just have to just deal with it. You're a man who, these are the expectations you have, and this is the role you have or responsibilities you have as a husband, as a father. So it's almost and it's something that's almost ingrained in us. I feel culturally, and just in general, I feel men are always taught on how to treat women, how to do this, how to be providers. But if you struggle, or if you feel like you have these challenges or things, you're not really, it's not it's okay for you to say, yo, I'm having a hard time with this. It's more yeah, that's what being a man entails, and just got to suck it up and deal with it and just do it. And I think that that community, I think, has become a big part. I think it's a big part of why I wanted to create this podcast, to create community and realize like you said, we're all having these shared experiences just because, and it transcends even like political views or views. I feel like that's so, like, it's such a small part of who people are as a person. And that's even that opinion right there is something that I evolved as well. Because I think before, like 5-6 years ago, maybe even like less, maybe 5 years, I had a different view. And I thought it was such a bit. But nice when you start thinking about it, at the end of it, we all want. I think every person, every parent, or even any human, all you want is for the people you love, whether that be family or friends, to like be happy and to be safe, and to do whatever you can for them if you can, and just and as parents, all you want is for your kids to be safe and be well provided for and taken care of. And as a husband, you want that for your wife as well, and that I think that's universal amongst all cultures, amongst all races, political views, and I think that is a big part of. That's actually a sad part of sometimes men of our generation or even previous generations where you feel very isolated and you don't feel like you can share these things with anyone because you feel like no one's gonna understand or no one, or you almost feel like less than, like I'm less of a man because this is bothering me, or I am struggling with this particular obstacle or this challenge in my life. And I think that's the sad part. I think that you realize you're not alone.
Yeah.
And when you talk about it and you share experiences, and even when you're kind of honest, like, I mean, I share some things about like this behavior that I'm not proud of, but you sort of have to be honest because then someone else can be like, yeah, I kind of did the same thing. And
you can grow from it.
and you grow from it. Exactly.
That alone right there is like a therapy. And I think that I find this for me to be like sort of therapy sessions because I'm like, I listen to, things that you've gone through growing up and you as well, Pete. And I mean, I know you more, but I understand that things that you've gone through, we've shared similar experiences. And I'm like, I'm not the only one going through it. And I always wonder, how does someone else sort of resolve or handle it? And I try to take that approach. Maybe the next time it happens to me. You were talking about like hanging out with like other dads. I can't remember the last time I hung out with a group of guys. Even just dads. I think if anything, I've hung out with you. But I feel like that would be a pretty good experience for me. That may be something I need to hang out with another group of dads and just shoot the shit, just chill out.
I think like a lot of times we wait for people to do it for us.
Yeah.
Right. Like you see, you drop off your kid every day at school, and you see the same dads every day. You say, "Hey, what's up?" You give them, deuce. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you just move on your way. But like, just interacting with somebody and be like, "Yo, what's up, man?" Like, come hang out with us, bro. Like, we're gonna go have some coffee. Yeah, let's go get some coffee. Like, a lot of times we wait for people to come and do it for us, when in reality we should be like the initiators, right? Like, make that connection. Like, who cares? What are they gonna say? No, like. It's not like you're gonna date them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just, let's just chill, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a dad, right? Like, if you got time, let's go get some coffee or whatever. You know what I mean?
I think that's one of the things I miss from living where I was in Astoria, was that like I sort of like formed a little bit of a dad group, and then once I moved, I think Dave even stopped hanging out. They just sort of fell by the wayside. But I think sometimes it's hard. I feel like I think in general, men tend to deprioritize themselves.
100%.
And you always think of like, well, like, my wife needs this, my partner needs this, my kids need this. And it's almost like you almost feel guilty when you're like, well, I need this. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like that experiences, I mean, your kids are now, you said 3 and 4. Yeah, 3 and 4, right?
Right.
And even before that, I mean, I think you're at the gym or, you're working with, I guess you work with a lot of people that you're friends with as well.
Right.
Which helps. But to like go out and just have a night just for you, that's probably the first time it happened. And
it's been a minute. It's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Then you want to do it like the following day. You're like,
yo,
I could do this. I could rock with this.
And at some level, it's sad because I look at social media, which isn't really a totally honest representation of people's lives, but I see other moms going out with like girls' night or mom's night, and they're hanging out, and I see it more frequently. It's very rare.
While
you're like,
dad's
night, Slay King. But yeah, I mean, like it's something that we don't really do, and it's unfortunate because I think that sense of isolation and not having any community, I think might be a big reason why, like, suicide is so high, because like you really feel like you don't have anyone to turn to.
Yeah.
And even to show that, to be comfortable enough to be like, yo, like I feel fucked up. I'm fucked up right now. I know I'm not okay. Because I think the default is, hey, what's going on? I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Who gives a fuck?
You're fine, but you're
Yeah, I'm
dying
fine. I'm fine.
inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
a
fine.
formality. New York
Yeah.
is like, how you doing? Hey, what's up? How you
Yeah,
doing?
what's
Yeah,
up?
I'm good. Yeah, what's up? That's it.
It's a formality.
But even if someone asks you, like, I remember last time someone never asked me, like, how are you doing? Like,
Like, how are you really doing?
How are you really doing?
yeah. And it's like,
Who's gonna sit there and listen to you? Right?
Yeah.
yeah, like,
It's
no
like,
one
bro, I
cares.
ain't got time for this shit.
Yeah. Plus, you almost feel like you feel embarrassed.
You're like a burden sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And you feel embarrassed. You're like, I'm not going to tell this person, like, I'm not going to be a little bitch and tell this person, oh, I'm crying. Stop crying.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
That's a fact.
So I feel like it's rough, and I feel like that's the sad part. And the sad part is, and not to go into like this tangent on men and women, I mean, it might even sound borderline sexist. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but I feel like if you look at men's progress in general, I think in the earlier generations, men always excelled more, and that could have been because women had different roles and expectations. But now, if you look at even college graduation rates, men are on the decline and women are on the incline. I mean, are increasing, and you start thinking why. And I think there's not a lot of things that foster, like little boys to cultivate, and like and even that. I feel like even in schools, I think even as biologically, and this might sound sexist, but this is purely my opinion, and not even from that, even as educated, just from my own experience. I think girls develop differently than boys, and girls are able to socialize at a younger age more, and they develop these social skills younger, and boys are just like play, run, jump. They're more like action driven and more like activity driven. And so in school, for like having a girl sit in the classroom, for a certain amount of time, and maybe I'm generalizing, but to me it seems like an easier task than having a boy sit in a classroom for 5-6 hours and not have any kind of way to. And that could also boil down to just us, like an evolutionary trait. I mean, like men are like in general, historically, even from caveman times, the ones who are more times like the hunters, the gatherers, the ones going out, and women were the ones who were like the caretakers, the mothers, like the child rearing. And so there's different physical needs and different physical expectations. So of course, boys had to develop differently. They had to develop, just like. And even that, I mean, I think I was reading this article online on even how the women, how little girls develop. They had to develop social skills in order to survive, because while most times boys were more activity driven and more physically driven, a lot of times they're like probably on some level a little stronger. So like to survive, a boy might be able to survive a little more, but women had to depend to survive on different set of skills to be able to survive and navigate, amongst like, different tribes, different whatever threats in the wild. So
I know with Zach, I can speak for some of that experience is that I found out very quickly, I think in like the third grade, that he was always messing around with the other boys, and they would get in trouble in the class. So I asked the teacher, I said, put him next to one of the girls, because I knew all the students in that class. I knew all the parents, and I said, I want you to sit him next to one of these girls, because these girls are definitely more mature. We'll sort of keep him in place and let him and sort of guide him so he doesn't get like he doesn't get distracted and start doing a bunch of other things. And it's worked out. It's worked out for him. I don't know what the sitting situation is right now for him, but I do know that as soon as he sees these other kids, like the other boys, forget troublemakers. And I'm like, there was always like the big three, and Zachary was one of them. And I was like, I was like, damn, I don't want to have one of those kids. But I know it's definitely helped him to sort of separate him and put him with the girls.
Yeah, I mean, I think certain things are. I mean, in general, I see hunters, and for me, I think you have a boy and a girl. I always had a son, so my experience was solely based on my experience with him, and and every kid is different. But then recently, I mean, like my girlfriend now has a daughter, and like we're our family are slowly blending, and I see. So the deli by Seton, that same deli that's up the block from Seton. I mean, it's probably maybe newer. I've been going to that deli for years to get waters. The owner not once has ever said. Me and Hunter have been going there for years. since the time moved, we were going there to get waters, and the owner, I seen him in there. He never even gave me a second look. I go in there with my girlfriend's daughter, who's very cute, or whatever. Yo, my guy comes from around the counter. Oh my God, you're so cute. Da, da, da. Starts giving her here. You want a cookie? You want whatever? And I kept thinking, I'm like, and at first I was like,
Hold
a
up.
little like red flag. I was like, oh, that's a little weird. I was like, but it threw me off a little bit because that wasn't my experience. But I noticed when we go somewhere, like my girlfriend's daughter, she garners a lot of attention. And people, oh, look at this. And we're always getting free shit because of her.
Wow.
We'll go to a bakery and the lady's like, oh, here, you want some pastries? And like, then they'll give us a bunch of pastries for all of us. But she's like almost like the catalyst for it. And even I think of like the girl, you know, she was a Girl Scout and they're selling Girl Scout cookies. And I thought to myself, and I'm like, if there were 10-year-old boys or 9-year-old boys trying to sell cookies in the street, do you think people would stop? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. I'm like, and I was like, and then I mean, and that could just be part of like society, and it is what it is. But I do think that it's something that I have to wonder, like, why aren't boys or men excelling in the same way they were in the past? And things seem to be, in my opinion, I mean, when you look at these certain statistics, seem to be like having a negative impact, like, you know, hiring suicides, hiring this, hiring that, hiring like they live less, they die younger.
Right.
I'm like, why is that? And I mean, not like
Yeah.
I'm gonna solve any of this from this podcast. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm out here like I have no way, but it's just something that I think about, and I realize I want to create a community for men that can help in any way that it can,
Yep.
whatever it is, and like being a father, being a man, even just like being okay. Be like, yo, if someone asks you like, if your boy's like, oh, what's wrong? Like, yo, I'm fucked up. Like I'm fucked up in the head.
Yeah, I feel like another thing that we can do, which I made a really good point to do, especially after having a couple of my friends, take their own life, is that like, if I think about somebody, like if I say, yo, I wonder how this person's doing, I gotta text them.
Yeah.
I gotta send them a message. Yo, what's up, bro? Just thinking about you to see how you're doing.
Yeah.
Yo, because you don't know what anybody's going through, and that one little text could have been the difference between like, taking your own life and like, and just kicking back like one more day. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I
is
mean,
true.
and I've gotten those texts from you. I think
Yeah.
random texts like, "Hey, what's up? I've been thinking about you and Hunter." Da, da, da. And I was like, and it meant a lot to me. I'm like,
bro.
I haven't seen you in a minute, but I think that in itself is such a great thing because it costs you nothing.
it's
Yeah.
something that everybody can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it literally, you can tell Siri to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's true.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
You don't even have to type.
And when I got the text, it was like meaningful. I was like, oh shit, like fucking Joel, man. Like I missed that dude. And it made me think about, and it made me actually feel grateful. I'm like, yo, I feel grateful that like people are like, even think about me because
Yeah,
you,
bro.
you go through life and you don't think that. There's times I think like no one really thinks about me. I mean, I'm just like, sometimes you as a man you wonder like, do I even make a difference? I know like I provide for my kids, I do whatever, but if I wasn't like just a money person or a chauffeur, what impact do I have?
yeah.
So I think especially from coming from another man who's probably dealing with their own shit, it meant a lot. So yeah, I remember I got that text and I was like, yo, like it made me feel good, and I was like, all right, and actually coincidentally, I was going through some shit because I'm dealing with these issues with my ex, and there are times I feel like never in my life have I ever really. I mean, in my younger years, I think I had some really like rough times as a kid, and even as an adult, like not an adult, as a teenager, times I was in foster care. I had like a fucking rough upbringing, and so I thought like, what if I just like there were times I wish I was never born as a kid having that sentiment,
Yeah.
and because shit was bad, but as an adult I never really thought about like suicide or thinking about like what life would be like if I just like offed myself until I went through my initial divorce, all the problems with my ex, all the financial implications, all the money I spent into fucking lawyers and this and that, and like the debt that I've accrued, and I'm like, oh my god, it becomes so, and I'm not like, I feel like, not to sound egotistical, but I feel like for the shit I've been through, I'm pretty resilient. Like
Yeah.
I've dealt with a lot of shit, and I sort of managed to navigate through it. And I was like, I'm fucking resilient. I was like, I can handle shit even when shit has been bad. And I was like, and I've been able to handle it. And I was like, and now I'm thinking like, yo, Like there are times when like it entered my brain. I mean, luckily it kind of like, it's just a fleeting thought. But I'm like, yo, imagine like other people who, like maybe are not as resilient or haven't whatever. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, and you never know. And I feel like a lot of times because of isolation, you feel like really alone. So yeah, but I think that as a like, I feel like the two biggest gems I feel like taking out from this conversation is one, don't be your kid's dad, not their coach, or just in general be their parent. I think that's probably like the biggest message, and like that's a fucking gem of a thought for someone who is a coach, an amazing coach, and a father. And two is just reach out to people.
Yeah.
Send a text, bro.
Yeah.
Send a text. Yo, what's up, bro? Just thinking about you.
You hear a lot of those things where like, someone passes and then they start saying all these nice things, and you're like, well, how come you didn't tell them when they were alive? Like it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't
don't
cost
cost
anything,
nothing, bro.
Yeah, just like, yo, what's up?
But it's hard. I feel like not saying, but I think saying the text is one thing, but I feel like as a man, to give another man a compliment is very hard. I feel like, you can, but then you will feel like, oh, little bitch. You know what I mean? It's like this machismo. I don't know if it's a machismo, if it's a cultural thing, or just maybe.
I think it's like society makes it like that.
Yeah.
Because
Like-
I feel like guys like to receive their flowers too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah. But we don't really get flowers that often.
No.
Almost never. Yeah.
Here's a daisy. Yeah.
Not even get a fucking
Dandelion.
a daffodil after all the shit's been blown away. That's impactful. I feel like that's such a small thing to do that has a big impact. Because it had an impact on me. I think I got your text last week or the week before, out of the blue, and I was like, oh, fucking Joel, man. Love this fucking guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's been a thing, bro. By anybody I think about, like, yo, let me just send them a
There you
text,
go.
bro. Bro.
I was trying to do that as my like sort of New Year's resolution, that reach out to someone at least, and I'm trying to set the standard like really low so I can achieve it. It's like reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while, once a week. Just once a week, just be like, yo, call them or text them. Sometimes the phone calls are a little awkward because you call and you be like, all right, what's this guy want? That sort of thought comes up. But just like reach out, yo, say hi, hey, what's up? How you been? How's the kids? How's the wife? How's work? Blah blah blah. I haven't been too great at it this year, but I think having this conversation is sort of like motivated me to get back on the rails for that.
I think just telling that person when you call them or send them a text, telling them your intention.
Yeah.
Like setting like that, I don't need anything from you, but I just want to say what's up.
Yeah.
Will make it much lighter for you.
Yeah, true.
Because like a lot of times, like if you call somebody, like you said, like the fuck this guy want?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
maybe
you
I might
can
not
feel
answer
it.
it.
You're like, hey, what's up? Are you all right?
It's that little awkwardness in the beginning of the conversation.
and then they're waiting for like the what's coming up. Like,
Yeah,
what do you
yeah,
need?
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Just I just want to say what's up.
Yeah.
See how you're doing. Everything's good. That's all I wanted. Peace,
Yeah.
bro.
All right, cool.
30-second call. Less
Later.
15
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah. And
Yo,
you
how's
never
it
know.
feeling, bro?
Also, I mean, like, you realize too, like, you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, I try to stress that with Hunter, and I'm like, you never know. Like, anything happen. Life, no one's guaranteed another day,
Yep.
and that's the end of it. Like, we both have people who we've lost, for different reasons. You never know when your last day is with them.
That's right.
And and once it's gone, it's gone. It's not like you can't buy that.
Can't
time
do
back.
that shit, bro.
There's no undo.
You know what was a crazy, because we're kind of on the topic of suicide, is what I saw one time. This guy jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived in San
Wow.
Fran.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks, he does like tours and stuff like that. So I've come across his stuff. And he said like the moment that he jumped off that bridge, he regretted it.
Mm-hmm.
The moment, you imagine that? You're falling
And-
from
and
however
you're-
how
yeah.
many hundreds of feet up.
Yeah.
The moment he jumped off, he regretted it. He didn't want to die, bro.
Damn.
Imagine how many people do that. They jump off whatever and they regret it. But that's it.
But that's it. Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah,
Bro,
that's
imagine
it.
that,
I don't even know how you survive a fall like that.
bro. He survived that shit.
That's
And now he
insane.
walks around talking about like
Yeah.
that
That's a
very-
life changing
it's
moment.
life-changing, bro.
But just think, out of all those people who, the millions or whatever people who have committed suicide, in my gut, I feel like they probably all regretted it when they got right after. When it was a point of no return, they all wish they hadn't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's a gift. I feel like it's one of the things where you won't really realize it until you take stock. And sometimes that's hard to do. I think when I was younger in my teenage years, I really struggled with like depression and all the things that had occurred to me as a kid were like kind of wore on me and like and I went through like a really rough time. But I remember there was a turning point where, I mean, as crazy as it's gonna sound, and it's gonna kind of go like a little bit of a different direction. Um, I tried hallucinogens, like mushrooms, and I remember actually it wasn't I did LSD for the first time, and I remember, and I'm not advocating that for anyone. I'm just saying from my own personal experience, was I tried it, and I remember the experience, and then I was feeling one way that evening before taking it, and then having the experience. I mean, it lasted about 8 hours, and then taking it, and then feeling this increased sense of community and connection to the world. And then the next day, I saw the sunrise, and I saw so much more beauty in the world. And I was like, and it was a moment I remember to this day, like changed my life, and it changed. And then, I mean, I still carry the scars and the impact of like the things I endured, but I saw the world in a different way, and I was able to see the world more from being connected or being a part of it, and as well as how much beauty there is in the world, and even simple things like these little like plants here, this that like just being able to look and appreciate the beauty where in the past I didn't even notice it. It wasn't something that was like it wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't even in my universe. It didn't even exist to me until I was able to like have that experience. And maybe that experience would have happened without it, but that was what I mean.
That was a catalyst.
That was the catalyst for it. So
That's really interesting.
and I mean I know kind of like went a little bit off topic, but yeah, I feel like but that's an important thing is like seeing the beauty in the world. And
Right.
sometimes it's hard to see the beauty in the world when like
When you're like you feel like you're smothered, right?
yes,
Yeah.
and when you're smothered and you feel alone, and you feel like there's nothing, you have no lifeline out. It's just like you're just there.
Yeah.
And you feel like if you do put a lifeline, you're a burden on people. And that's I think even for me that's a hard thing to there's times that like now I've shifted. But I think for years people always like a lot of my friends would tell me about their problems, but I would never tell them because I didn't want to burden them. But now I feel like I try to like have tried to be more open and be and share myself with share those whatever I'm experiencing because I realize if I keep it in it'll just I'll drown.
Yeah.
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 Do you see a therapist now? Like, how did you get past all that childhood trauma?
I think I suppressed it for a lot of years. I mean, I'll give you a quick recap. I think we discussed this in the last episode. I think with Danny, we were talking about like childhood shit. When I was 7, like my mom had severe mental illness. I think she was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia with delusions. So I mean, she like there were times where she would might have been like 5, 6 years old. We lived in I think Jersey at the time in Newark, and she would barricade the apartment, like the front door. Yeah, like 2 doors, like the front door and the back door, because we lived in a like the second level of a house, so there were 2 entrances, and then she would barricade it, and then both sides, and she gave me like a cleaver, like the cleaver you chop with, and she'd be like, "Oh, they're coming to kill us. If anyone comes through the door, you have to fight them with this. You have to like hit them with this knife, this cleaver." I'm like, "Oh shit!" But that was her mental illness. But then like that progressed to her like, I mean, there was so many. I mean, she fucking threw our dog out the window because she thought that I had switched the dog, and she didn't believe me that was our dog. She fucking flipped out and threw the dog out the window at that same house. So I mean, like a lot of shit progressed, and then also there was a lot of physical abuse, and then it kind of came to like when I was 7, we lived in Brooklyn, and it was, I think, June. I think it was about I think May, June, because it was hot. It was like right before school ended, and she had this thing where she didn't show up when I went to school, and I'm like looking for her. So I ended up just walking home. I knew how to get home, and I guess I saw her like I was about a block away from the apartment building we lived in, and I saw her. And it's funny. I just said I'm gonna make it a quick recap. I'm not giving all the details. Well, and then whatever. I guess. I mean, I feel like I knew as a young kid. I was able to know when she was in those states. I could just look at her eyes, and even now, I think I developed as a young kid. I could look at her eyes and know she was in like I don't want to say psychotic state, but in one of those like mental
Zones,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I could see it in her eyes, and I was like, oh my god, I could see a block. I was like, oh shit, I knew. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get fucked up. Like, she's gonna hit me, because she did a lot, and I think this spanking escalated where she kept hitting me and kept hitting me, and she ended up like fracturing my skull. I think like breaking my bones on my arms. Like, my arm was broken, both arms, my fingers, my ankle. Like, it just went on. The beating went on. Somehow, I think a neighbor heard me screaming for whatever it was, like, and called the police. The police came, and then I guess turned out I was fucked up. Went to the hospital. I was in a coma for like a couple weeks,
Jeez.
and then she ended up getting arrested for attempted murder. And then she went to jail. She ended up getting incarcerated, and then and the way we lived in Brooklyn, and the way the rest of her family found out was because it came out in the newspaper. I just found out a couple of years ago that actually, like, my grandfather was going to work, and he opened the paper, and there was a story with her name, Evelyn Hernandez. I don't know if they mentioned my name because I was a kid at the time, but they mentioned the story about this beating that had happened, and that was how he found out.
Oh shit.
And then that's when, like, I was in the hospital. They didn't really know, any connection, didn't know what, but they're treating the hospital, and that's when the family got involved, and then they went to the hospital, and I remember waking up, and I was like, and then it was around my birthday times. I remember having my birthday in the hospital, and mind you, this my birthday is at the end of July, like July 27th. So I was in the hospital for a long time, and then after that, like, I went to live with my dad, and my dad wasn't so great. I mean, he did what he could, but he wasn't really focused on me. He was focused on his own shit, and then so we struggled a lot, and then when we turned 12, 13, he remarried, and me and his wife didn't get along. Like, she had her own son, and I think my dad had become sort of successful at that point. So I think in hindsight, she maybe wanted to like push me out and sort of have her son come in and sort of like come in. But ultimately, my dad ended up kicking me out of the house, and I was like 12, 13. I think I was in middle school, going into high school. So whatever that age was, I got kicked out of the house, and I was living in an SRO, like a furnished room in Flushing. And then from there, kind of came out that I couldn't be living there. School found out I was still going to school. The school found out, and then I ended up going to foster care, and I was in a group home, and that was a fucking nightmare as well.
Wow.
And then and even there, like, it was a lot of violence. I mean, like, a lot of violence. Like, I was getting fucked up nonstop. And after a while, I was like, yo, I'm not gonna be the person getting fucked up. I'm gonna be the person doing the fucking up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when it just shifted, and I became like kind of like a little, like, really violent. Like, I had to, like, and even the counselors were like, yo, you can't keep taking. I was getting beat up almost every day. He's like, we're not there with you. You have to do something. You got to make an example. And I made an example out of a kid. I beat that kid. I fucking shattered his face. He was like, his mouth was wired for like a month or two.
Fuck.
Because I beat him with a sock filled with a bunch of coins that I rolled up into, like, it was like the size of like maybe a softball.
Jesus.
And I just fucking beat him for like, I don't even know. Like, I didn't even know what happened.
Shit, bro.
I just sort of lost it. And then I was there until I aged out. And then when I was aged out, I was on my own. I was like, trying to figure it out, doing all types of shit, for money, all types of illegal shit. And then I was end up like, being able to like make enough money to survive and then go to school, and just then I just slowly started building this life for myself, like, trying to like get in technology, getting a job, whatever. And now it just evolved into like today.
Dad life.
Huh?
Dad life.
Yeah, dad life.
Which is a blessing on its own, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Damn.
wow.
But I think for a lot of those traumas, I really didn't have therapy for a lot of it. But I think during my teenage years, I suffered from a lot of depression, a lot of self-esteem issues, a lot of things. Because I know I had friends who I made some friends in the affluent neighborhood where we moved to, and I would see their families, and sometimes their families had issues, but I felt like, yo, these kids had families, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was still friends with them once I got kicked out. I mean, we still stayed friends, so I felt like alienated. So I never really so many of my friends would invite me to their homes for holidays, for Christmases, and I went. But after a while, I was like, these aren't my people. Like,
Right.
I felt like an interloper.
Yeah, you
So I
didn't
just-
feel like you fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just like stopped going. I'd rather just be alone. But I think so. I suffered from a lot of self-esteem issues and depression during that time, and even times when I felt like, oh man, I wanted to like off myself. And, they're kind of like like those fleeting thoughts never really got serious. But I think that as crazy as it is, like that experience with LSD switched, and I think it happened when I was like, I want to say junior, senior in high school, and I think I was able to like recalibrate and reset, and able to like help me find a different path. And then years later, I think as an adult, I was in relationships, and ultimately, I mean, my ex-wife, Julie, and we were together for a long time, and then I think her issues and then my issues just ended up just like, I think back, and I think I wasn't the best husband. I wasn't a bad husband. I could have done things differently, but I also don't think I was a bad husband. But ultimately, the relationship just is dissolved. It just didn't
Right.
work out. But I think during that time, because of my mom's history, I always had a fear of, like, I always had this. I would joke about it and say, I don't want to catch crazy. And I kind of, even like the way I phrased it was like almost like a joke. You know what I mean? Like catch crazy. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but because I was always afraid that that my mom's mental illness, because a lot of times mental illness is like genetic and
Hereditary, yeah.
So I always thought like, oh man, I hope I don't like it hasn't happened to me. Like one day I switch and then like things flip, and so I think once me and Julie were at the tail end of our relationship, we started doing marriage, couples counseling or marriage counseling, and then I realized from there that, I mean, she was also gaslighting me for like for many months, and I really thought I was going crazy, and so I was like, you know what, I have to go see a therapist and make sure I'm not fucking crazy. And that was a rough time. I think that was a time when I was still going to see Ton. I feel like I had those ups and downs. I think you probably have seen my ups and downs a little bit, because you try to hide it, but sometimes it just comes out. But yeah, when this one Hunter was like 5, 6, 7, around that time, and we were going to see Ton a lot more, but it was a lot of ups and downs with me and him as well, and yeah, that's when I started going to my own therapy and trying to and then talk about like my childhood and my past or whatever stuff so it didn't really happen until like, I want to say what, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I mean, like let's say 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, that I really started to delve into it. But I don't know. I honestly, I don't know how I navigated out of it. I don't know. Other people ask me, because like statistically, I shouldn't be here. Like,
Right.
I should be in a different place, different person.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. I don't think I'm particularly special in any way. I'll never really be good at anything in my life. Just fucking fudge my way through everything. Just grind my way through everything.
Surviving.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but sometimes I do. Maybe it's more nuanced, because like you said, things is not just one event, but I do feel like that experience gave me a different perspective on life, and it made me feel differently about the world, and differently, more importantly, on my place in the world. Like I felt like I was part of the world. I wasn't just by myself.
Right.
Now that's a hard feeling to sustain, but at that moment I felt like more connected to the world, and maybe not particularly people, but I was a part of this thing that was happening.
Yeah.
So I think that was a pivotal moment in me, and maybe that's what helped me. I attribute it. I mean, it's something I remember, so maybe that's why it was impactful. It was a very impactful moment for me. But I think that's what it is. But as far as therapy, I don't know. I feel like I started. I'm doing therapy now. I feel like I started recently because I felt like my frustration this summer was boiling over, and I was being a lot more short with Hunter. I was like losing my shit with him. We had an incident where I really lost my temper this summer, and kind of like I didn't hit him, but I really was on his ass, like menacing almost, like yelling at him, talking, like pointing at him, cursing, and I think he got scared because it's not really how I interact with him.
Yeah.
And it was a really fucked up moment, and then of course, that led to another some other events happening with his mom, which I can understand, like what I did was wrong, and I've apologized for it, but yeah, that's when I realized, okay, like that anger that I felt, that I don't want to say my capacity for violence.
That emotion, just that emotion.
Yeah. But I feel like in my younger years, my capacity for violence was high. Like I could really maul someone and not really be bothered by it.
Yeah.
And I had to look at myself and think do I want to be that person? Like, no, I don't want to be that person. But I realized in discussing it in therapy, because I learned, and now I'm still processing it, now that like because I experienced so much violence at so many different parts of my life, young life, like childhood, teenage years, that violence became my shield. So now instead of it like me being the victim, now I can use violence to like protect myself, and now on some level, now I'm the one victimizing other people.
Yeah.
I mean, not like going proactively like going after them, but yo, like, you fuck with me, like, or you come at me, I'm gonna fucking make sure that you're not getting up.
Yeah.
And I think it took a lot for me not to stay being that person, and I felt like those feelings creeping back this summer, and so I was like, you know what? So I just started therapy recently to kind of go through it and try to like learn some more anger management tools, and my therapist is okay. I feel like we're just starting. It's only been a couple of weeks, so we're still, we're not in it, but I feel like I'm hopeful to like. I know it's something I have to do, so I'm just trying to work on it.
Yeah, they say that like your therapist, like you don't usually find the first one on the first go. Like you're gonna test different therapists out, and they say like you got to try to find one that's just similar in cultural background and like and ethnicity and like economic status, not economic status, but like status as you, like maybe maybe a dad, maybe a Hispanic therapist, maybe like. You know what I'm saying? And kind of they help relate. It helps them relate to you a little easier.
Yeah. So that's funny. I was like, I'm gonna give you a short answer. 20 minutes later, you have like a whole fucking vivid picture of every like little detail. But yeah, I feel like for me, I don't know. I feel like Matthew mentioned. I think right now I'm in this like place where I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to recalibrate and reset and be not only the dad that my son deserves, but also be like the partner that my current partner deserves. Be better than I was with Julie, as well as be better to myself. And I think that's the hardest part. Is like I think that's one thing that I think as I'm talking and kind of like sharing more, I realize that. And it could boil down to like self-esteem issues because it should have happened when I was a kid. But I do like I don't really like care. I mean, I don't feel like I really care about myself. I'm just like whatever. I'll just whatever. Like for example, if Hunter's home, I'm cooking healthy meals. I'm cooking whatever. I'm making sure he's eating like really good nutritious meals. If he's not there, I'll eat fucking like whatever
cornflakes.
Yeah, not even. I mean, I don't know, like cereal, but I'll just eat like whatever, like some bullshit or like
quick and easy.
Oh yeah, or just like shitty food. I'm like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then I realized that could be something that I have to sort of deal with. I have to sort of like be better to myself.
Well, and I think that in turn, when you're better to yourself, Hunter's gonna learn how to be better for himself.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be better for him, and he's gonna be better for you.
And one of the things that I always think about is as much as I love Evelyn, as much as I love Zach, what I really need to do is make sure I love myself first, because that's the only way I'm really gonna love them. I've thought about that a lot of times, and I was like, because there's always there's the playful, hey, who do you love more, and this and that, or we ask Zach, who do you love more, and I had to remember, shit, I really do have to love myself before I spread my love, for them.
And that's hard.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I think maybe, not only I don't know if it's for women. I think in general, I think for me, I think loving yourself is probably the hardest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's much easier to love it and put everyone.
You see your own flaws, right? Like you see yourself every day,
Yeah.
right? Like you see what you love, you see what you don't love, you see what you want to change, and like it's easier to see the things that are negative or what you perceive as negative, right?
You're always your worst own critic too.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's super true.
Yeah, I feel like you are. I feel like there's the way. I think something I realized in my therapy is say, how do you talk to yourself? And I was like, yo, I talk to myself mad fucking nasty. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you fucking asshole? Like that's what I say in my heart to myself. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why the fuck did you do that?
Yeah.
You a fucking idiot?
Yeah.
And then like, but you would never talk like that to anybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm like, and I started like thinking about, because she mentioned, well, how do you talk to yourself? I'm like, I don't know. I just talk to myself.
Yeah.
And then
Look in the
afterwards, our
mirror.
session, throughout the week, something happened, and I'm thinking, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm saying to myself. This is what's playing in my head. And afterwards, I'm like, yo, why am I talking to myself like this?
Yeah. You smack your own self up.
Yeah. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You dumb fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Like standing in the mirror.
Yeah,
just, like, looking at
exactly.
you.
Like, you know, like you're like you almost like, yeah, you're like in your head like insulting yourself. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you stupid?
Yeah.
Why'd you do that? Or like something will happen, you'll say this instead of that, and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And in your brain, you're like smacking yourself in the back of the head, you know, like
Right.
like
Yo,
a little
you should be
fucking
better than this.
bofetada.
Yeah. Why are you like this?
That's a funny visual. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what it feels like. Sometimes you talk to yourself. It's like a little, you know, you smack somebody in the back of the head. What the fuck? Wake the fuck up. But yeah, I think that's part of the challenge. And I think, I don't know. I mean, I don't know for women. I know maybe for me personally, that's probably the hardest thing. Because like it's easy to love Hunter. Easy to love your kid. Easy to love like, you know, someone else, like your partner. But I think yourself, that's the hard part. And that's I mean, for me personally, that's what I struggle with.
that's deep, bro.
I don't know. Like, where do you go from here? Now it's like, walk, walk, walk.
It's like, and on that
was
note,
So how about Disney?
But do you have the same thing? Like, I mean, do you like how do you?
I don't feel like I give myself enough time to talk to myself, bro. Like I feel like I'm just always on the go. Like,
You are. I know. I see you online. I see your schedule.
I'm always on the go, bro. Like, and like I feel like keeping myself busy
yeah.
helps me. Like everything in my life is almost like a regiment.
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning, brush teeth, brush the kids, get them ready. Wife's making breakfast, take the dog out, feed the dog, take the kids, go to work, take my wife, come back home. Like it's like I don't have time to think, bro. And I feel like, which is probably a bad thing, that like when I do have time to think, like, you know, you drive, you turn off the music.
Yeah.
I don't do that, bro. I put on a fucking podcast, I put on a YouTube video, and I'm like, just keep me focused on something. So that, I guess maybe like tuning out what I want to tell myself. Even like if I'm washing dishes, like I'm watching the YouTube video, or like I feel like I just don't give myself time to soak
Yeah. Yeah.
in the day or whatever, you know, like.
I've had a lot of times where I drive home and maybe it's, you know, just being in New York City, there's so much noise, and I get in the car and I turn the radio off and I'm just there, and it's like super quiet. And of course everything's, you know, all insulated. And I think that has been some of the times where I'm like, what's going on with you? Like, you know, what's going on in your life? And other times I'll listen to podcasts, and I try to listen to podcasts that may speak about some of the things we're going through. You know, sometimes you just have that moment where, you know, you got to put on, you know, 90s hip hop, you know, you got to put on early 2000s rock or whatever. Like, do I ever talk to myself? I don't know. I know something that was a little like therapeutic for me, and I did it mainly because Zachary, because there are a lot of things I wanted to tell him when he was a kid, and I just couldn't. You know, he was a baby. But there are also things I just couldn't, you know, comfortably have that conversation. At night, I had a composition notebook, and I would write to him, and it was almost like a journal. I was like, "Hey, Zachary, you know, I just wanted to let you know you did this today," but I put a lot of like some of my frustrations in that note, and I haven't done it. I admit I haven't done it in a long time. But I feel like I need to go to that, because it was sort of like how I wrap up, you know, my day. I always wanted like a sort of routine where at the end I put Zachary to bed, you know, I'm off my phone, you know, everything's clean, I'm ready to go, and then I'm like, yo, let me jot down my thoughts. And know sometimes it seems a little corny. It's like, oh, I have my little journal, but I was super proud of it, because I'd go in and I'd be like, yo, Zachary, you did this today. Yo, I'm super proud of you. Or yo, we had an argument today, and I wasn't proud of what I said. And my hope is that one day in the future, maybe he's 18, 20 years old, I can give him this journal and be like, look, these are some of the things I went through as when
That's
you were
deep, bro. That's deep.
when you were a kid. And it's like, I know as an adult, I'm gonna forget a lot of these things. So I'm gonna give you 25 notebooks here when you turn a certain age, and I want you to read through them, and I want you to know the things that I was going through as I was raising you.
Wow, bro,
You know?
that's crazy.
I was like, I gotta go back to it, because, you know, you form that routine, and then, you know, you kind of, you know, you break it, it's like, but I was trying to do it every night, and I did that for a while. I did that for a couple of months. I want to sort of maybe every other night.
Do you think that? Because I think me too. Like, you know, like I never really give myself time to think, except if I'm sort of angry at myself.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, if I do something I think I fucked up on. But I don't think I really talk to myself or really take time for myself if I'm content or things are going okay or just I'm just busy. But do you feel like your schedule and filling that time is avoidance, or you think you're just like too busy, or do you think you're just deprioritizing? Like, where do you think that comes from?
I think it's a combination. I think like my schedule is not like my job is not 9 to 5.
Yep.
You know, my job is it could be as early as 6 a.m. It could be as late as 6 p.m. It could be as late as 9 to 10 p.m. depending on like, the day or like if who books me or where I have to go or you know. I don't know if it's avoidance. Like it could be. It could very well be because like I like to be. I don't like the dead silent. I don't like to be like even if I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like I have my kids, I'm watching them on the iPad because they have their cameras
Yeah.
in their bed. I'm watching them and I hear the sounds in their room and the AC or whatever. Like
That's like the white noise.
exactly. I don't know. Maybe I think that's something that we should all like. I should definitely do is like give myself time to just like sit and meditate and think about like. There's two ways to look at it. It's like to look at either my intentions for the day, or like soak in the day that has just passed, right?
Yeah.
Like this happened today, or maybe I was feeling this kind of way, and like what can I do to make tomorrow better? And like
Yeah.
I kind of just roll with it.
Yeah, it's super important, I think, to be able to unwind because you carry that over most of the time the next day, and you carry it and carry it and carry it until it becomes this like huge burden. The reason I started writing in a notebook was because I work in IT. I'm with 2 phones every single day. I'm in front of multiple monitors. I see tablets and this and that all in front of me. So I wanted to sort of get away from that, and I feel it's like almost feels like archaic where it's just like, oh man, you're going back to writing. Like you could literally dictate it on your phone, but I was like, I need that. I need that, pen to pad. I'm writing it down, and usually before I start, it's sort of like, I'm just gonna say this, dude. Halfway through like through that first page, I already got like what I'm gonna write for the next 5 pages, and I'm just writing and writing and writing. I'll make it fun. I'll buy 5 different color pens, and I'm like, every single day is a different color. I'll switch it up. But that for me was a really good therapy. I just had to write it down.
And there's something special about writing, isn't there? Like,
yes,
like physical writing, because like even when your son gets these notebooks when he's, let's say, 20 or 30 years old, like he's gonna see your handwriting. You know what I'm saying? Like how much pressure you put on the paper when you write, or like
the little mistakes
little
I did.
things, you know what I'm saying? Like little, like maybe the way you wrote an A or some shit like that. Like it's gonna be something that he's gonna be like, wow, my dad, writes like this, or like that's cool, bro. I like that a lot.
That is kind of cool. I think that, but the sad part is I think we might be the last group of people who really write. Like
True.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think they're not really pushing. I mean Hunter's handwriting is atrocious. And I look with his teachers and they're like everything is typing now.
Well, they didn't even teach script anymore, right?
Yeah, they don't think
cursive.
cursive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
They actually give Zach these little papers. But it's all optional. And the funny thing is that he does it very well. He was able to like write his first and last name in cursive, and I was like, that's incredible. But the moment he heard that one time, he was like, it's optional. He's never wanted to do it, and I cannot for the life of me force him to do it. He just does. He's like, no. He's like, throw that paper away.
I wonder like how kids, or not kids, I guess when they're adults, how they're gonna write their signatures. Is it just gonna be like box letters,
A stamp.
Yeah,
Just
or like it'll be like a mark, like a happy face. That'll be a signature.
Minimalist design.
Yeah,
it's a line.
At that point, it might just be like a thumbprint.
Yeah,
like,
that's
what
true.
it is.
Yeah, what? Who knows?
Biometrics, just like there.
You know what? That you might be right. That no longer reduces the signature. Signature's not going to mean anything.
Yeah,
It's gonna be digital signatures.
digital
digital
signature.
signatures.
It's like copy paste,
Fucking retina
control.
scan.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Biometric.
You have a
Fucking
hair?
little. Poke your finger, get a little bit of blood. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Is this? I'm going to ask you also. Not to go back to what we were talking about before. Do you ever feel? Because I have this feeling, and I wonder if others share the same feeling, that I feel like there's times I'm like running around doing this and this and this, and then when I stop, I feel like I sink almost like a shark. I'm like, I can't stop, or else I just start to sink.
I feel that every day,
And I
bro.
feel like, I said it sometimes, like I feel like a shark. I gotta keep moving. If not, I feel myself like sinking.
Yeah, bro. The moment I sit down, that's it. I'm not getting back up. Like after the kids go to bed, I gotta take the dog out. I feed him. wife's been working all day, so I want to give her a break. I'll wash the dishes.
Yeah.
You know, like I gotta clean up before I get to sit down. And then once I sit down, I'm like, fuck, I'm tired. I probably fall asleep on the couch a little. You know what I'm saying? Like
Do you feel it's just physical or mental or emotional or all, or just like
everything, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I just feel like I just want to be left alone, and that's one problem that I feel like that I have, that I always want to kind of like disconnect. And the way I disconnect is like going on YouTube, going on Instagram, playing solitaire on my phone, just like
Yeah.
I don't have to think about anything. Just shut up and listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I think even in a relationship, it's important to have that alone time where you're like, you need an hour. Like, take an hour. I mean, people on top of each other all day, every single day. It happened a lot during COVID, and a lot of relationships,
didn't survive?
splat. Yeah.
I know. I think that's also a hard part. I think, like I know with your job, I mean, like I think our job, we both work in IT. It's mentally demanding. It's not physically demanding because you're sitting in front of a fucking computer.
Yeah.
But you're still interacting with people. I feel like people also call you when shit is broken. You know what I mean? Or like it's a very thankless job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very. I mean, some aspects of it. But I think for you, your job is very physical. Like you're working with people. Also, you're teaching, which I'm sure mentally. Also, I think with when you're coaching, if you really break it down, it's a mixture of mental and physical, because it's not like you can just check out. Or like, if you're someone like, physical, what is that? What are they called? A trainer at a gym. You say, okay, go run the treadmill for half an hour. Do this for a minute. And you can just walk away and disconnect from them. You come back, okay, now we'll do this. With you, it's like each minute counts.
Yeah.
Each minute is like, it's interaction. Like you're holding a pad. If you check out, they can get hurt. You can get hurt.
Yeah.
Like something can go awry, and then it's going to be a fucking problem.
right.
So it's like you have to be so tuned in, and like I could
On.
see how. Yes, on.
On.
Yeah, and there's no time for your brain to just take a break, because it's like you can't relax for a minute.
Yep.
So I could see how at the end of the day that need to disconnect or just isolate yourself, because like we were saying when we were driving here, it was like part of the reason how when I was working out at Sergio's place, a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, was I think he had trying to get me to do train with him, but I just didn't want anyone talking to me. I didn't want anyone telling me what to do. I didn't want anyone tell me or I didn't want me to interact with anyone, me having to tell anyone else what to do. I didn't want anyone to expect anything from me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have my earbuds on. I wanted to hit the fucking bag. I wanted to do my workout and just be left alone.
Yep.
And just listen to like my 90s hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just fucking like do 5 whatever rounds, whatever even my workout was so regimented. I'll do some weights, some like a little like a few other drills, a few like with the punching with the 5-pound weights, and then it'll be like but I'll do like regular bench press, squats, whatever, all that shit, and then do like 4 to 5 rounds in the bag, and that was it. Then I was going home, and that was it. And that was like so. And even I had my playlist. It was like every minute, like I knew what song was on, what I was doing next.
Wow.
So I'm like, but then that got boring after. I made that for a while.
Bet.
Yeah,
I bet. It's a playlist, bro. Fuck that.
But it's also. But I could see with you, it's like having that need to disconnect. But I think checking in with yourself might be good too, because I think it's hard to check in, because like sometimes you think, am I happy, or am I just like
Going through the motions.
you're just on
Autopilot.
Autopilot. That's exactly it. Autopilot. You're just moving, and then you stop, and you're like, time goes by, and you're like, it's been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and you're like, you look around, and you're like, things are not where they were, and you were so engrossed in these responsibilities, these 2 roles or whatever, you lost track of yourself. And I feel like that's what I think people struggle with. It's like who am I? I know who I am as a father. I'm trying to work on this. I'm trying to work myself as a partner, as like husband, boyfriend, whatever. I was like, but who am I working on? For me, is just like me, and I feel like that's something that you never really give it much thought to.
That's right.
Maybe like when the kids age out, but even then you're like,
But then that's when
that's when you're too old to do anything.
you don't have you have the money, but you don't have the energy.
Yeah,
like they say.
Uh-huh.
That's our homework.
That's
That's gonna be our homework.
Because the last thing you want to do is retire at 65 and die at 66.
Yeah.
You know?
65 in one day.
And what's that? 65 one day.
Or even that, even if you make it and then you're like, and now you're like anything
You
you
have
wanted
nothing.
to do, you're too tired, your
Right.
body's beat up, you're
Yeah.
tired, you just end up just like existing. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is, because I think you go so long living with this purpose.
Yeah.
When the purpose is gone, your body's like, okay, you have
That's
no
it.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what else too? Like, overworking is a thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I made sure that when I left the gym, that I'm gonna make my schedule in a way that I get to see my kids every night. I got to put them to bed. I got to wake up in the morning with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like one of the like my favorite quotes that like puts everything into perspective for me is like, some people are so poor that all they have is money. That shit, bro. Like, imagine you waste your life working, you know, 12-hour days.
Yeah.
And your family's just going by.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Growing, and that shit. Some people are so poor that all they have is money. Bro.
You don't know. I think I witnessed not firsthand with some of the families who I met when I was living in Whitestone. Like some parents that were so affluent and so rich, but the father was never there. They're always working, and the kids had, like, as adults, really struggled with a lot of things. And you start realizing, like, you really makes you wonder now as a parent that the impact you have is so great on your kid, and the relationship you have plays such an important role. And then you start really, now as like I'm talking to you guys, and like, as we've had this podcast, I realize that, and then which I'm sure most parents don't think about from my generation, like the parent I am is the parent they're gonna be.
Absolutely.
And you're like, because the parent I am is on some level the parent that I had. And I was like, and some of those negative things, I mean, I've even found myself like, I'll have these moments with Hunter, and I think back, I'm like, oh my God, like my dad yelled at me and said the same, very similar thing to me. And I'm like, and I remember when he told me, I was hurt. And I'm like, fuck. And then you start realizing that you're mimicking this behavior, and then but yeah, I think having that thought is.
I've caught myself so many times, and I was like, oh shit, that's my dad. And I'm like, and I tell myself, I'm literally little by little turning into my dad. And I was like, no, I gotta stop. I gotta stop right there. But there's some moments where I feel like his spirit, my dad's alive, but his spirit is just like permeate, just comes out of me, and it's just like, there's all these frustrations and all his like, all the anger management that he never dealt with as a kid. He's had his struggles in life as well. But I can totally see myself. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm even bald like him. There's the physical, manifestation, the physical looks. But I'm like, oh my God, I can totally see. And that's when I really I have to pull back and be like, all right, I'm not my dad. I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to try to be as better and as good as a dad as, for Zachary. But I can totally see that coming out. And I have to, it's difficult to catch yourself in the moment. Sometimes it's after and you're like, damn, I fucked up. But that's sort of like what you do to prevent it the next time from happening.
I guess that's the goal. I guess the overarching goal as a parent is like, try to do better, or try to, be a better parent than the parent you had.
Be better.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I'm sure we all say it to our kids, or we all have the same sentiment, like, be better than me. Like, I want you to be better than me.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of suck. don't suck like me.
That's a fact.
So everyone be better.
Yeah.
That's the be better, you pieces of now.
Oh man. Well, I think we'll sort of end on that note. Joel, like I said before, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for being such an amazing person in my life. I know we don't see each other that often, but you have a very special place in my heart, and I thank you for everything you've done for my son as well as for me.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
Thank you for coming on. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you, bro.
Great meeting you, man, and
Likewise.
and listening to you. So we look forward to having you on in the future.
Hell yeah, bro. Anytime.
Yeah.
I'm down for
Yeah.
this. This was fun as hell.
And for all of our listeners out there, you know, who are coming, let them know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, word, exactly.
Oh shit!
If
My
you-
Instagram is probably the best way to reach me. It's Joel JOELMT_ on Instagram. At JoelMT_ on Instagram.
Awesome.
If you're looking for a good martial arts coach, with an amazing human being, reach out to Joel. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Peace.
Thanks again, guys. Peace.